Part 5. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 42. Chapter 42 Blood Plague Virus. Danforth City, do you know this place? Minister Guslin asked. This place does not exist in Luo Guang's memory of the Resident Evil game. However, since the other party asked him if he knew it, it shouldn't be a location that he must know, so Luo Guang shook his head and waited for the other party's next words. Danforth is a city in Colorado, with the famous tourist attraction Trumbull Valley nearby. Half a month ago, these two places were included in military management areas by the military. In fact, they are military-controlled areas. The country's virus research and testing site. Minister Guslin's words contained a lot of information. Is the virus being studied a new type of virus? Luo Guang guessed. Is it the same series of viruses developed by our company? It is a virus developed by the military on its own. We at Umbrella spent a lot of money to bribe high-level officials and consumed many lurking intelligence agents, and finally obtained specific information about the military's biochemical virus research plan. I can tell you clearly that the situation in Danforth City is worse than Raccoon City. It is a real no-man's land. The things that are still moving in the city are monsters infected by viruses studied by the military. Minister Guslin said firmly. No one survives anymore. Why isn't it disinfected like Raccoon City? Since it is called a city, the population should not be much smaller. Luo Guang asked in surprise. Is it to raise goo? Yes, Minister Guslin confirmed Luo Guang's guess and continued. According to the intelligence, the new virus is more contagious than the T virus. Danforth City would have fallen very quickly. If it weren't for the official wall built enough, quick, I'm afraid this virus leak will affect most of Colorado. The military caused a disaster that affected nearly 600,000 people. Do you think the military would take the initiative to report the scandal to the Hexagon and apply for disinfection? But as long as we change the description and put it under military management, the military has the final say on what happens in Danforth City. It can not only cover up the scandal, but also provide space for its own research projects, killing two birds with one stone. In the same biochemical virus leak incident, Raccoon City chose to directly destroy the entire city, while Danforth City, through high-level operations in the Hexagon, included both Danforth City and Trumbull Valley as biochemical viruses. Test area. Secretary Guslin is unhappy with the military's double standards. Let's get back to your mission. We need you to go to a military research base near Danforth City to obtain the information inside. Minister Guslin brought the topic back. The military didn't destroy the laboratory evidence. Luo Guang was most surprised by this. Even if he bombed it directly, it would be fine. It's his own territory anyway, and no one would know what he did. Minister Guslin handed a document to Luo Guang and continued. That research institute is not registered, and the insider was visiting the research institute on the day the biochemical crisis broke out. The company knows so much, Luo Guang said, taking the document and looking through it. The intelligence agent went to the hospital to look for medicine because of his injury, and found this institute. Although he left alive, he was already disabled and had to be scrapped in the end, Minister Guslin said. Blood plague virus. Luo Guang saw the name of the virus developed by the military in the document. Minister Guslin continued to explain to Luo Guang, now we only know that this blood plague virus can turn people into zombies similar to Raccoon City, but one thing that is very different is that this virus can cause benign mutations in humans. Among them, the observation a mutant that is extremely fast and powerful, the people at the institute call it the Velociraptor. A virus that can produce benign mutations in humans without human intervention. I understand why you are concerned about this matter. Luo Guang is also very interested in this blood plague virus. It can make people faster. It seems to be a good virus that can make up for Luo Guang's shortcomings in flexibility. However, you have to communicate with the system about the specific situation. Yes, I know that this matter is very dangerous, but now the American branch is busy dealing with matters in Raccoon City, so I can only ask you. Once the matter is completed, the reward will definitely satisfy you. After Minister Gusselin finished speaking, he waited for Luo Guang's reply. He could use his status as Director of Virology at Umbrella's Chicago Branch Research Institute to force Luo Guang to go to the dangerous city of Danforth, but the Luo Guang that Minister Gusselin was familiar with was a soft-spoken person, so he would use a consultative tone to ask the current Luo Guang for help. The intelligence agent being processed is a senior intelligence agent. Are you sure that I alone can complete the task? Luo Guang was hinting at the need for manpower. The American branch is just busy, what about the Chicago branch? If you don't mind taking the junior intelligence officer here on a mission, Minister Gusselin said with a smile. Forget it. When Luo Guang heard what Minister Gusselin said, he could only shake his head helplessly. If he went on a mission with his pig teammates, it would be better to go alone. Luo Guang turned his attention back to the content of the file, seemingly continuing to confirm what Umbrella had collected about the blood plague virus, but in fact Luo Guang was taking this time to ask the system in his mind, this virus looks like available. Without a sample, the system is temporarily unable to analyze the situation of the blood plague virus. Although the T virus in the adapter's body has been mildly adjusted, it cannot be ruled out that the blood plague virus will have a violent antagonistic reaction against the T virus. As long as the adapter does not wait for a short period of time, if infected by a large amount of blood plague virus, this system believes that the T virus in the adapter's body can phagocytose the fused blood plague virus, so it is recommended that the adapter try to inject a small amount of blood plague virus for analysis. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The above situation is only the prediction of the system, and the actual situation will not be known until the adapters obtain samples of the blood plague virus. It feels similar to an allergy test, Luo Guang thought, and he had the answer in his mind. Luo Guang turned his attention to Minister Gusselin, wanting to know more information that was not in the document, and said, didn't those intelligence agents come back with samples of the blood plague virus? And how could they leave when the military blocked it? When Minister Gusselin heard Luo Guang's words, he thought that Luo Guang was interested in doing this mission, so he knew everything and said, the intelligence agents obtained the blood plague virus, but it lost activity during the return process, so we need Luo Guang, go to the laboratory to obtain virus samples. There should be special storage equipment in it. Also, we need the research data inside for evaluation. Remember to bring a memory copy of the data, but there may be a power outage there, so I won't force you. As for how to leave, let me start with how to get in. Minister Gusselin took a sip of coffee and continued, now all public roads and railways entering Danforth City are blocked, and the sky above is also a no-fly zone. Parachute, so we chose the road in and out of Trumbull Valley. Although it is also a military test site, it is a large natural area with many ravines and few public roads, so the military blocked it there. It's a lot simpler than Danforth City. Mountain Trail, Luo Guang understood Minister Gusselin's plan. Yes, a local Aboriginal trail. We have sent people to investigate. Through the trail, you will reach a summer camp on the mountainside in the Trumbull Valley. After that, you will go down the mountain to the small town of Trumbull. Perimeter. The maps over there are in the file, you can take them. I saw it. Luo Guang turned to the page and pulled out the map. Trumbull town is different from ordinary towns. The relatively flat area in the center of the town is filled with farms. Instead, residential areas, commercial areas and other areas are built around the farms. At the same time, there are dams in the valley to generate electricity. It is completely a self-sufficient town. This town has a mountain tunnel that connects to the outside world and can reach Danforth City directly. Are there any survivors in the Trumbull Valley? Luo Guang asked after discovering that the existence of survivors was mentioned in the document. Yes, the initial virus leak was in Danforth City, and then people in the city fled to Trumbull Valley, bringing the blood plague virus with them. In fact, the virus outbreak occurred about half a month later in the valley than in Danforth. Maybe it was because there wasn't a large population in the valley, or for other reasons, that some people survived. These survivors formed various small groups, but they could only survive in the Trumbull Valley. Military researchers would not let these survivors escape. Even when there are fewer zombies in the valley, the military will capture zombies from Danforth, a city with a population of at least 600,000, and send them to the Trumbull Valley. Minister Guslin's expression did not change, as if he was saying an ordinary thing. Luo Guang's expression also showed no change. It's really a bad idea. How can we promote the evolution of viruses without the contradiction of survival? As a virus researcher, Minister Guslin naturally understands the thoughts of those who study blood plague viruses. Luo Guang read it one by one and memorized the contents, and turned to the last page. A flash of shock flashed in Luo Guang's eyes, and he looked at Minister Guslin, who was drinking coffee calmly. The information on the last page of the document is not about the mission that Minister Guslin gave him, but about the special plan that Organization X needs to obtain on its own. Luo Guang was about to ask something. "My secretary's coffee is okay," Minister Guslin interrupted Luo Guang and winked. "Yes, it is indeed good." After a brief shock, Luo Guang also reacted. He did not expect that the minister in front of him was the real contact person of Organization X, and because Umbrella Company arranged a secretary responsible for surveillance, Minister Guslin only in this way can information be conveyed. It's a bad habit for people from Organization X to always put important information last, Luo Guang thought. According to the intelligence obtained by Minister Guslin, this special plan is to mobilize all intelligence personnel of Umbrella's American branch to obtain the military or government's R/U0026D plans and virus samples, and use the military's virus to fuse with the company's T-virus. Use this to develop more powerful biological and chemical weapons. However, due to the Raccoon City incident, the Americas division had too much to take care of at this time, and the execution of the special plan was delegated to the Chicago division. And this is exactly what Minister Guslin wants to do. Does Organization X intend to use Umbrella's R/U0026D capabilities to research viruses for itself? It just so happens that Minister Guslin's identity is destined for Organization X to have access to the latest research data. As Luo Guang thought about it, he became more and more curious about the true face of Organization X. At the same time, Luo Guang had other thoughts. He thought that this organization, the reason why the other party is familiar with his information is because the recommender is likely to be Minister Guslin in front of him. Minister Guslin looked like a coward and said, "Don't take this document away. There will be trouble with the things I mentioned." Understood. Luo Guang put the intelligence documents back on Minister Guslin's desk. "Also, in this matter, you just need to bring back what we need while ensuring your survival. As for the struggle between various forces inside, and the political confrontation between the upper levels, you don't need to worry about it, and don't be too curious. If you are really discovered and arrested by the military, we have ways to rescue you." Minister Guslin said this with confidence. "I won't be caught." "Then without further delay, shall we set off immediately?" Luo Guang replied confidently, stood up and prepared to leave. "No rush, you are tired from the journey today. Go and rest first. Someone will call your new mobile phone later and ask you to get the equipment list to help you buy equipment. After that, they will go to a place near the Trumbull Mountains. I'll leave the town to you. I've prepared everything for you anyway. Do your best, I'll keep an eye on you." Minister Guslin shook his head, drank the coffee, and continued with a smile, "Luo, now you should solve the important things first. And rest is also very important." Luo Guang nodded. The first half and the second half of what Minister Guslin said were two sentences. The important things should be resolved first, which meant passing on the information about the special plan. "Since you said so, let me finish my coffee here first." Luo Guang sat back, Looking like I won't leave even if you drive me away now. Minister Guslan saw Luo Guang's attitude and shook his head, thinking that the Luo Guang in front of him had really changed after what happened in Raccoon City. Hey, is this Greenwell? Lying on the velvet bed in the hotel, Luo Guang called his contact person, Emma Greenwell, using the phone number given by the X organization. I am. Is it about a special plan? Emma asked about this immediately. Yes. Is the phone safe? Luo Guang rolled around on the big bed and asked, lying on the bed. Safety, tell me. Emma heard the movement from Luo Guang's side. To put it simply, the American branch of Umbrella Corporation feels that it has reached a bottleneck in developing biochemical weapons by relying only on the T virus or G virus developed from the ancestor virus, so in order to seek a breakthrough, they want to find other viruses for research, and it just so happens that they discovered the military's biochemical virus research plan, so they will use various means to obtain the military's research data and viruses, and then combine the two viruses to develop stronger biochemical weapons, Luo Guang said in one breath. The specially planned weapons. The content is summarized in a simple and easy to understand way. Well done, just leave the rest of the matter to the organization. You can lurk in Umbrella Company and work hard. We will notify you of new tasks. Emma Greenwell finished speaking, just hung up the phone. Luo Guang failed to tell him what Minister Guslan arranged for him, so the other party hung up the phone directly, so he didn't want to ask for trouble and call again. Throwing his phone aside, Luo Guang lay on the bed, sorting out the information he obtained today. On the other side, after receiving information about the special plan from Luo Guang, Emma Greenwell made a call on her mobile phone. Meow, a lot of people in the office have been having sex lately. Now I have to do the work of 3 people by myself. Meow. Asterisk. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tong Miao. Chapter 43. Chapter 43, Trumbull Valley. Trumbull Valley, a scenic area with a vast area and few people, is a tourist attraction around Danforth City. Many people go to Trumbull Valley for vacation every holiday. At this time, Luo Guang looked like a mountaineering tourist, carrying a mountaineering bag filled with various equipment and supplies prepared by Luo Guang for this mission, and followed the trail indicated by the tour guide into the forest of Trumbull Mountain area. There were direction tables left by predecessors along the trail, and Luo Guang also had the latest beta positioning equipment developed by Umbrella Company, so Luo Guang did not get lost when he passed the trail. He set off at 7 o'clock in the morning, stopped and walked along the way, and arrived safely in Trumbull Valley at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Leaving the trail, the terrain suddenly opened up, and the lake not far away was shimmering, and the scenery was beautiful. There was a small island in Luo Guang Lake with a wooden house on it. It felt like a good place for vacation, but it was a pity that this place was no longer a paradise. Retracting his thoughts, he was not far from the summer camp in the Trumbull Mountains. Luo Guang planned to find a place to spend the night while there was still time, as he would have to travel a long distance tomorrow morning. This summer camp in the Trumbull Valley was originally where the loggers of the town of Trumbull lived. Later, in response to environmental protection policies and to improve and optimize the industrial structure, the logging camp here was closed and transformed into a summer camp for the town's children and a camp for the Boy Scouts. Hey, the two in front. Luo Guang walked around the lake towards the summer camp for a while, and saw 2 figures carrying mountaineering bags in front of him. Their steps were relatively steady, so Luo Guang called out to them. The 2 heard a shout from behind, turned around, and saw Luo Guang walking towards them with a backpack on his back. Thinking that he was a fellow traveler, they asked, "Hey, are you here camping too?" "No, I'm going to climb the mountain, and the canvas on my body is just for rain and warmth." Luo Guang knew that the other party had misunderstood because of the yellow canvas hanging next to the backpack, so he explained and ran to catch up with him. "Have you been camping for a long time? Looking at the bags on your back, it seems that you are well prepared." Luo Guang chatted with the other party. Yes, about a month, the black-skinned young girl among the two said. Marcus said he prepared an unforgettable date for me, but I didn't expect it to be a month-long camping trip in the mountains. The girl was just teasing the black boy next to her, and there was no annoyance in her tone. Luo Guang looked around at the two people. The muscles on their arms were very tight. They looked like they were usually active athletes. He asked, "Are you a couple?" "It's obvious, isn't it?" Marcus said. "This is my girlfriend Maya." "Hello, Maya." "Hello, Marcus." Luo Guang greeted them and introduced himself to them. "My name is Luo Guang." "Hello, Luo." Marcus invited. "Luo, are you going down the mountain? Let's go together." Okay. Luo Guang didn't mind being a light bulb for the two people, so he agreed to their invitation. The three of them didn't talk much along the way, and soon came to the main house of the summer camp. Marcus and Maya planned to say hello to the people guarding the camp and tell them that they had returned safely. But when Marcus opened the door, he saw that the main house was in a mess and no one was there. "Is this a thief?" Maya, who was standing behind Marcus, looked out and saw the chaos in front of her, raised the hiking stick in her hand, and said a little nervously, "Maya, hide behind me, be careful." Marcus protected Maya behind him and walked in first. Since Marcus wanted to show his bravery in front of his girlfriend, Luo Guang naturally didn't need to show off at this time. "Has there been a fight? And several people have slept here." Luo Guang observed the situation in the house and said, "Are there any signs of theft at the cash register?" Various mountaineering equipment are sold in the main house, so Luo Guang asked about the cash register. "No, it's locked well." Marcus pulled the cash register's cash box, but couldn't open it. He went to check the sleeping bag on the ground and said confusedly, "What happened here? Why are there so many used sleeping bags on the ground? And there is blood on this sleeping bag. I don't know, but it is very likely that something urgent happened here, and it seems that the people who left were in a hurry." Luo Guang walked over, and the surface of the sleeping bag that Marcus pointed at was covered with a red and black liquid. Maya's sixth sense told her that it was not safe here. Maya pulled the corner of Marcus's clothes and said, "Let's go back to the town quickly. I always feel that it is not safe here." "Well, wait, I'll use the radio here to contact the people down the mountain." Marcus turned on the radio next to the cashier and started to contact the forest safety officer down the mountain through the rescue channel. After confirming that there was nothing he wanted here, Luo Guang prepared to leave the main house and looked at the entire camp. "Hey, where are you going?" Maya saw Luo Guang about to leave the main house, so she stopped Luo Guang. "I'll go outside to see the situation, you stay here and call the people down the mountain." Luo Guang left the wooden house after seeing Marcus nodded to him. The location of the main house of the camp is 2 meters higher than the terrain of other wooden houses, which allows the entire camp to be seen at a glance. Luo Guang's eyesight had improved, and he found that there were human figures swaying in the wooden house and the surrounding woods. In the center of the camp, there were large patches of black and red marks on the land where the bonfire was usually lit. Luo Guang didn't know whether some of the people lying on the ground motionless were corpses or blood plague zombies. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Those swaying figures walk similarly to the zombies Luo Guang had seen in Raccoon City, so Luo Guang didn't speak rashly, holding a mountaineering pick and touching one of the wooden houses. Although it seems that these blood plague zombies and the zombies encountered in Raccoon City are the same type of slow-moving ones, who knows if it is a countermeasure to save energy because they don't see prey, so Luo Guang plans to try the quality of those blood plague zombies first. The door was blocked by a wooden board, and Luo Guang directly moved the obstacle away and opened the door. Because the obstacles made noise when they were moved, Luo Guang was prepared and opened a hole in the head of the blood plague zombie that rushed in front of him. Luo Guang only dealt with the blood plague zombie closest to him, and then immediately ran to the main house of the camp, shouting as he ran, "Marcus, there are man-eating monsters here. The sound of Luo Guang's series of actions directly alarmed the blood plague zombies wandering around. Marcus and Maya did not respond to Luo Guang, but the blood plague zombies responded to Luo Guang first, accompanied by a low roar from the mouth of the blood plague zombies, and then 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100, and the zombies in the surrounding woods began to gather in the summer camp. These blood plague zombies, are they communicating? Luo Guang looked at the blood plague zombies that were gathering together with a little surprise. Luo, something bad is going to happen. Marcus rushed out of the main house. As soon as he said something to Luo Guang, he saw the blood plague zombies gathering in the camp below. Are these the zombies mentioned in the radio? Marcus said as he looked at the zombies staggering below, and Maya, who was following Marcus, was so surprised that she couldn't speak. Radio. Zombies. Luo Guang was curious about what Marcus learned through the radio, so that he could infer the survivors' understanding of the disaster. Actually, the other party contacted us. She was contacting her father. After hearing that we had been camping in the mountains for a month, she told us what happened in Trumbull Valley during this month. Marcus looked at the increasing number of blood plague zombies and made a long story short, the unknown virus infected people, and then those infected people became very aggressive, and they also told us that those were no longer human, but a kind of monster called zombies. Marcus, Maya pointed to the mountaineering pick in Luo Guang's hand that was still stained with blood. I saw a figure in the house, so I went to knock on the door, and as a result, I met the zombies you mentioned, and I was forced to defend myself, Luo Guang said with a tone as if he was still in shock. Marcus saw that Luo Guang's hand holding the mountaineering pick was shaking slightly. Luo, calm down, we have to leave quickly. The people on the radio said that these zombies will become very aggressive at night. Marcus was calmer than he thought. Looking at the increasing number of zombies, he took his girlfriend's hand and ran down the mountain. Luo Guang fell behind the two of them, put away the frightened expression on his face, and observed the situation of the blood plague zombies. Perhaps because they saw that Luo Guang and the other two were about to escape, the roar of the blood plague zombies changed slightly, and then those blood plague zombies attacked the location where Luo Guang and the other two were. It moves faster than the zombies in Raccoon City, Luo Guang judged. The zombies in Raccoon City all looked weak and walked like old people, but the blood plague zombies in front of them were not like that. Although they still didn't run, they walked at least like a normal person, but the stride was not large, so ordinary humans could still maintain a normal advantage. Marcus and Maya were both native Trumbo people, so Luo Guang asked them to lead the way down the mountain. After the initial fear, Maya finally calmed down and asked Marcus to throw away the heavy objects on the backpack. Marcus followed Maya's words and quickly threw aside the tent support poles, pots and pans, sleeping bags, etc. on his back. With less weight, Marcus and Maya ran faster. Marcus took the time to look back at Luo Guang. Luo Guang did not throw away the things on his body, but still followed him closely. The three of them ran nearly 200 meters quickly, but Luo Guang still looked at ease, without a drop of sweat on his head, which made Marcus surprised in his heart that Luo Guang was amazing. Where are we going? Luo Guang said anxiously behind him, we can't keep running all the way like this. Ascension Cathedral, the people in the radio station set up a shelter there. Marcus, as the leader, explained, and turned back to confirm the location of the blood plague zombies. After they were far away from him, he slowed down his running speed. What's the matter with being more aggressive at night? Taking advantage of the fact that the three of them finally didn't have to run fast, Luo Guang asked about what Marcus had mentioned before. I don't know. The other party only mentioned that we should pay special attention to a kind of red-eyed zombie. Marcus glanced at his watch. There was less than an hour left before sunset, and there was still a long way to go back to the town. The three of them ran across a wooden bridge. But we may not be able to catch up, Luo Guang said worriedly. We can only pray that we find a house to spend the night. Marcus had no other choice but to say this to comfort his girlfriend, who felt uneasy after hearing Luo Guang's words. I hope so, that was all Maya could say. On the other side, after Luo Guang heard Marcus's words, he thought about the red-eyed zombies for a while. The person on the radio specifically mentioned red-eyed zombies, so maybe the blood plague virus had undergone some kind of change in these red-eyed zombies. It seems that there is a high probability that a positive change has occurred. This is the information that Minister Guslin likes to see, and I don't know if I can use this to ask Minister Guslin for more money. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Luo Guang's backpack contains a syringe specifically for drawing blood. Although the viruses in the zombies have probably changed a lot, they are generally not so delicate that they can be preserved. However, the reverse analysis of such viruses will be difficult. Become very large. The sunset came sooner than Marcus imagined. It was already dark, there were no lights on the road, and with the woods blocking both sides, the view was worse than Marcus imagined. Marcus turned on the flashlight, walked a little further, and found a car crashed into a tree stump not far away. Marcus's first reaction was to step forward to check if anyone was in the car and whether he was injured or unconscious, and then ran over first. Maya followed immediately, took the flashlight that Marcus handed to her at the side of the car, and followed Marcus to shine light on her boyfriend. There was no one in the car, but the entire car was covered with blood stains. There was no body or limb missing. In addition, there was a blood stain starting from the car door and going all the way into the depths of the forest. Marcus saw Luo Guang, who had followed him to check, and said, "I didn't see any injured people, but there was a trail of blood going all the way into the forest. I think if this person encountered a zombie, he probably ran away into the forest." After speaking, Marcus glanced at Maya and said, "I want to find this injured person and rescue him." "Marcus, are you crazy? We can't protect ourselves now, and look at the situation in this car." Maya knew that Marcus was a kind-hearted person and a good person with a reputation in the community, but she felt in the current situation, there is no time to rescue others. A cold wind blew by, and the trees rustled, seeming to respond to Maya's words. "I know, but someone needs help." Marcus knew that he shouldn't be kind at this time, but he didn't want to ignore it. "Marcus, do you want to leave me? Or do you want me to follow you into the forest? The zombies are very dangerous at night." Maya grabbed Marcus' hand and persuaded her. "Okay, I get it." Marcus finally lost to his girlfriend's plea and chose to continue going down the mountain. "I'll go find him," Luo Guang on the side volunteered, startling Marcus and Maya. Luo Guang raised his hand to stop Marcus's persuasion and said, "I brought a pistol to deal with wild beasts. Those zombies can't do anything to me. Besides, I just took a look, so I can give myself an explanation." Luo Guang's words hit Marcus's heart. "Besides, Marcus, you have to protect your girlfriend," Luo Guang advised Marcus considerately. "Yes, Marcus, just let Luo do this. Let's go down the mountain or find a safe place first." "Don't waste Luo's thoughts," Maya also persuaded, but these words made Luo Guang feel uncomfortable. This reminded Luo Guang of those people who are accustomed to moral kidnapping. It's just that Luo Guang planned to get rid of the two of them, so he didn't point it out. He just frowned and glanced at Maya silently. But Maya was looking at her boyfriend, so she didn't notice Luo Guang's displeasure. "Okay, pay attention to safety." Marcus still couldn't defeat his girlfriend, and Luo Guang also had a gun to protect himself, so Marcus blessed Luo Guang, said goodbye to Luo Guang, and continued to set off along the road, while his girlfriend Maya, without saying a word, he just followed Marcus down the mountain. Because the game State of Decay is mainly about group characters, except for some NPCs, most of the characters are not necessary, so part of the plot has been changed. Also, although there are actually cities and towns in the valley, looking at the game map and playing experience, the city is too small and there are not many buildings, so it was unified into a town, and the divisions were described. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 44. Chapter 44. The bastard is trying to trick me again. Luo Guang took out the Beretta M92F pistol hidden inside his clothes. This gun was the one that Luo Guang had used to fight his way out of Raccoon City. In the Chicago branch, Luo Guang found the equipment department to upgrade his pistol. First, the magazine was lengthened from the original 15 rounds to 20 rounds. The mechanical sights were painted with fluorescent paint. A rail was added under the barrel, and a tactical flashlight was installed. This time, Luo Guang finally didn't have to hang the flashlight on his waist. However, Luo Guang didn't throw away Marvin's special flashlight, but put it on the new tactical belt as a backup light source just in case. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. In addition, Luo Guang also carried a G19 pistol as his backup weapon, and an M4S90 semi-automatic shotgun wrapped in a yellow canvas. Because it looked like a tent kit, Marcus asked Luo Guang if he was going hiking and camping. At this time, Luo Guang walked carefully into the depths of the forest along the blood trail with a mountaineering pick in his left hand and a Beretta M9SF pistol in his right hand. According to the map provided by Umbrella, he was now nearly halfway to the east district of Trumbor Town, and there was only a road and a few ranger huts between the summer camp on the mountainside and Trumbor Town. If Marcus and his team were looking for a place to rest and hide from the red-eyed zombies, those places should be their targets. However, since he was unfamiliar with the place, he did not plan to spend the night in the ranger's cabin, but went down the mountain directly. Anyway, there were few people on this road, and there should not be many blood plague zombies. At this time, Luo Guang looked at the traces of dragging on the ground, thinking that the thing that attacked the people in the car might be some carnivorous animals. If it was an ordinary blood plague zombie, the people in the car would have been eaten dry. Luo Guang walked more than 50 meters following the blood trail, but he still hadn't seen the body of the injured person. Yes, Luo Guang had already sentenced the injured person to death in his heart. Just as Luo Guang was looking at a large piece of fallen leaves soaked in blood on the ground, several pairs of blood-red eyes appeared around him, staring at Luo Guang, who was checking the blood. Luo Guang felt something strange, and this quiet forest was hiding murderous intent. The first sound came from the right, which was the sound of fallen leaves being trampled. Bang! Luo Guang pointed the gun in his right hand at the direction where the sound came from, aimed and fired in one go, hitting the middle of the pair of red eyes. With a whine, the owner of the blood-red eyes wailed, as if telling Luo Guang his true identity. The tranquility was broken, and the other red-eyed creatures were not afraid of the deadly gun in Luo Guang's hand, and vowed to tear Luo Guang apart with their hands. With Luo Guang as the center, there was one at 10 o'clock and 8 o'clock on the left, one in front, and 3 behind, and they were scattered relatively far away. Based on the footsteps of running, Luo Guang quickly determined the number of enemies. Luo Guang didn't know how high the IQ of these enemies was, whether they would deliberately set a trap that looked like a way to survive but was actually a dead end, so Luo Guang didn't plan to run to the clear right side. Without thinking about when the enemy behind him would cut off his retreat, Luo Guang rushed directly to the enemy in front of him, quickly shortening the distance, holding a mountaineering pick and skimming across the ground, swinging from bottom to top. The sharp pick head directly pierced through the chin of the creature in front of him, and pierced out from the top of his head. Luo Guang saw the enemy's appearance clearly. He was facing a wolf pack, but were the eyes of this kind of wolf blood red? Luo Guang dealt with the red-eyed wolf in front of him, and following the upward momentum, Luo Guang half-turned and threw the red-eyed wolf in front of the 3 red-eyed wolves behind him. But the 3 red-eyed wolves, except for a pause when the body fell to the ground, quickly picked up their speed again, without looking at their dead comrades, and continued to rush to where Luo Guang was. Bang, bang. 2 gunshots, the two red-eyed wolves on the left that rushed straight towards him were also killed by Luo Guang with one shot. After experiencing the battle in Raccoon City and Jill's teaching in Maple Leaf Country, Luo Guang's hit rate can be said to be 100% when facing this kind of straight-line moving target that does not run in a Z-shaped pattern. The remaining three red-eyed wolves behind him, the one in the middle is bigger than the two on the sides. It seems to be the wolf king of this wolf pack. The red-eyed wolf king was faster than the other two. When the distance between him and Luo Guang was only 3 meters, the other two red-eyed wolves were still some distance away from Luo Guang. The wolf pack suffered huge losses, and the red-eyed wolf king had to take down Luo Guang to stabilize his position in the wolf pack. The red-eyed wolf king stared at the black object in Luo Guang's right hand. He saw that every time the object pointed to a certain place, the red-eyed wolf there would fall down with a loud bang. Luo Guang moved his right hand and pointed at the red-eyed wolf king in front of him. The red-eyed wolf king was well prepared. He jumped to the left and then jumped forward, aiming for Luo Guang's head. "Don't jump around if you have nothing to do," Luo Guang thought, and took a bow step forward, half bent over, holding a mountaineering pick in his left hand, and swinging the axe-shaped pick in the other hand at the red-eyed wolf king in the air, aiming at the red-eyed wolf king's soft belly. Both sides were moving very fast, but the red-eyed wolf king had no chance to adjust in mid-air. Luo Guang turned his head to avoid the sharp claws and used the mountaineering pick in his hand to directly cut open the red-eyed wolf king's stomach. All kinds of stinky internal organs fell to the ground, and the red-eyed wolf king could not stand steadily after landing and fell to the ground. It makes sense to capture the leader first. As soon as the red-eyed wolf king fell, the other two red-eyed wolves, who were already very close to Luo Guang, turned around and ran to both sides. After they were a distance away from Luo Guang, they turned around and looked at the fallen wolf king. The red-eyed wolf king did not stand up. After confirming the death of the wolf king, the two red-eyed wolves left here. Without the wolf king, they all had the opportunity to become the king, so they had to rush back to fight for those female wolves. The forest returned to tranquility again. Luo Guang switched his pistol and mountaineering pick and walked slowly towards the fallen red-eyed wolf king. He walked around in a circle, without breathing, and his eyes were closed. Luo Guang came to the front of the red-eyed wolf king and stopped. "Now!" The red-eyed wolf king suddenly jumped up and pounced on Luo Guang in front of him. Unfortunately, what the red-eyed wolf king saw in his open eyes was not Luo Guang's panic, but the mountaineering pick that Luo Guang was chopping down. Faster than the red-eyed wolf king who suddenly jumped up, the mountaineering pick directly smashed through the red-eyed wolf king's head. "This dog wants to trick me again." When Luo Guang saw these red-eyed wolves, he remembered that he was tricked by zombie dogs in Raccoon City, so he was ready for the enemy's counter-attack at any time. As for the red-eyed wolf king, although his internal organs fell all over the floor, his head was not opened after all, so Luo Guang treated it with caution. Luo Guang originally wanted to use a gun to deal with it, but Luo Guang didn't want to make a loud noise to attract other animals in the forest. After dealing with the red-eyed wolf king, he counted the bodies of the red-eyed wolves present and confirmed that there were no missing ones. Luo Guang looked around again. The injured person was dragged away by the wolves and taken back to the den to eat. Luo Guang looked around and didn't see the body of the injured person. This is the territory of the wolf pack, so Luo Guang didn't plan to stay for long, and followed the blood trail back to the scrapped car. He searched the cabinets and trunk on the car, but didn't find anything useful. This time was different from the time in Raccoon City. Luo Guang came to Trumbull Valley fully armed, so he just searched out of habit when there was no shortage of supplies and equipment. Finding nothing, Luo Guang kicked something when he was about to continue moving down the mountain. He picked it up. It was a children's watch, probably dropped by someone in the car. Luo Guang put the children's watch on the crashed car and started to go down the mountain. As he expected, Luo Guang only encountered a few blood plague zombies on the road, and then he arrived safely in the East District of Trumbull Town. There is the only church in the entire Trumbull Valley, standing on the outskirts of the East District. Luo Guang did not rush into this area, but climbed up a water tower on the side of the road, picked up a telescope, and observed the situation in the East District. That's the church at 10 o'clock, Luo Guang saw a building decorated with a cross on the top. It was most likely the church. There was a yellow light on there. Luo Guang planned to go there next to see if there were any survivors and learn about the outbreak of the blood plague virus. However, he was not in a hurry to do so for the time being. Luo Guang observed the situation on the street. The houses here were mainly bungalows or two-story houses. Normally, the population was not large, but at this time, Luo Guang could see that the blood plague zombies on the street could form at least a dozen families. They were probably transported by the military. This blood plague virus is really strange. Some zombies have red eyes like they have red eyes, but some zombies do not have this change. The ratio of red-eyed to non-red-eyed blood plague zombies is about 1 to 10. Luo Guang recorded the situation and thought that the blood plague zombies infected by the blood plague virus were very different from the zombies infected by the T virus. It gave people a feeling that this blood plague virus was developed specifically for humans. No, the wolf I met before also had red eyes, so this blood plague virus targets creatures. Luo Guang had no experience fighting ordinary wolves, so he didn't know whether those red-eyed wolves had been strengthened by the virus. As for the system, it only had theoretical knowledge on paper, so it couldn't be used as a reference. I hope the adapter can obtain the original sample of the virus. The system did not respond to Luo Guang's ridicule, but suggested that Luo Guang obtain the blood plague virus. Yeah, I think so too. Luo Guang nodded silently in his heart. After confirming that there were no zombies ambushing him under the water tower, Luo Guang put away the telescope and slid down the stairs, and then immediately took out his weapons. Next, he had to test the combat effectiveness of those red-eyed zombies. While these blood plague zombies were relatively scattered, Luo Guang walked in the middle of the street. The red eyes of those zombies were indeed not blind. After seeing Luo Guang's figure, these red-eyed zombies roared and ran towards Luo Guang's place. The ordinary blood plague zombies behind him were still walking slowly, but no matter whether they saw Luo Guang or not, after the red-eyed zombie roared, they all looked at where Luo Guang was, instead of looking at the red-eyed zombie that made the sound. Sure enough, these zombies are communicating. Luo Guang's face was solemn. Zombies that could run could also communicate. The mission in Danforth City seemed to be very difficult. At this time, there was only one red-eyed zombie running towards Luo Guang. It broke away from the crowd behind and came to Luo Guang alone. Then it was tripped by Luo Guang, who dodged the attack sideways and stretched out his foot. The red-eyed zombie on the ground was killed by Luo Guang with a mountaineering pick before he got up. Fortunately, the intelligence is still so low, and there is no awareness of commanding the zombie group to fight. Luo Guang thought so. But this is normal, otherwise Luo Guang does not think that the military will allow the existence of this test site. Luo Guang has a gun and enough physical strength. He is still confident that he can deal with the zombies in front of him, but it is not necessary, so Luo Guang made a circle to get rid of the blood plague zombies behind him, and then ran towards the church. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Hey, I'm a living person, Luo Guang shouted while running towards the church. Then he was blocked by a wall. There is no place here, go somewhere else. A white man in a khaki police uniform poked his head out from behind the wall and said to Luo Guang, "Get out quickly, don't attract zombies, otherwise don't blame me for shooting." No, please." Luo Guang lowered his voice and begged. Luo Guang saw the M1 Garand rifle in the other party's hand. Although it was not pointed at him, his eyes were staring at Luo Guang fiercely. "Get out," the other party was about to raise his gun. Luo Guang was startled and ran away quickly, walking into the forest. They are all policemen, but there is a big difference. Luo Guang hid in the woods around the church and observed the situation inside the church. Inside the church, the door of the church was pushed open, and a man in pastor's clothes came out, holding a Bible, and asked the police officer, "Alan, did someone come to ask for help just now? I think I heard someone asking for help. We are already full here, and we can't let anyone in, so I drove him away," Alan said to the pastor forcefully. "It has been more than a month, and the military has not come to rescue. There is not much food and medicine left. We can't let more people come in to eat for free." "But the Lord's place should not be," the pastor argued. "Shut up, William," Officer Allen scolded, "unless your Almighty God appears in Trumbull now to purify the monster zombies here, otherwise don't mention your God all the time." Allen. William is a devout believer. Hearing Allen's insults about his beliefs, he couldn't help but refute him. "Shut up, there are zombies, call everyone over." Allen noticed that a group of zombies appeared in the direction where the survivor just came from. "Damn, that guy attracted all the zombies," Allen scolded. Luo Guang, who was not here, raised his weapon, and shot at the blood plague zombies that were slowly approaching. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Luo Guang saw that there were 2 people in the church besides Allen and William, 1 man and 2 women. Luo Guang thought to himself, "Didn't I get rid of those blood plague zombies by myself? Why did they follow so quickly?" These survivors put a lot of wooden boxes behind the wall outside the church, so that the people inside can stand on them and shoot outside through the wall. They can also use melee weapons to deal with the zombies near the wall while ensuring safety. Luo Guang observed for a while and confirmed that the church could deal with these ordinary blood plague zombies. After that, he did not need to help. Then he left the periphery of the church and prepared to find an empty house to rest. Wish them good luck. I have a fever. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 45. Chapter 45. The Swift. Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. This family's bed is pretty good. Luo Guang found a 2-story house in the East District to sleep. The owner of the house was wandering in the yard and had been infected with the blood plague virus, so the owner of the house, who had turned into a blood plague zombie, was freed by Luo Guang, who climbed over the wall later. The owner of the house killed by Luo Guang seemed to be summoned by the roar of the blood plague zombies over the church. Before he was alive, he had been slapping the iron fence in the direction of the church, wanting to support the brothers who were attacking the church. The noise made Luo Guang locate him directly and solve it in one draft. After greeting the owner of the house, Luo Guang was not polite. He developed such a bad habit in Raccoon City. Luo Guang directly chose the double bed in the master bedroom as the place to sleep tonight. In addition to considering comfort, the master bedroom is located on the 2nd floor of the room. The window in the room faces the road, allowing Luo Guang to observe the situation at the main entrance of the house. This house is a little distance from the church, so when Luo Guang left the room, there were only 3 or 2 blood plague zombies outside the room, so Luo Guang solved them easily. Luo Guang confirmed his position. At this time, he was at a Y-shaped intersection in the eastern part of Trumbull town. As long as he followed the road and crossed a bridge, he could reach the northern part of Trumbull town, which was mainly a commercial service area. Starting to set off, Luo Guang passed a veterinary hospital and walked another 500 or 600 meters. He found a blood plague monster in the distance that he had seen for the first time. This monster was called a Swifter by the military. In the research report stolen by the Umbrella Company intelligence officer, it was mentioned that these Swifters can only be directly mutated by humans infected with the blood plague virus, and ordinary blood plague zombies cannot mutate into Swifters. Therefore, the intelligence officer speculated that the military may have conducted human experiments to obtain this information. The Swift in front of Luo Guang was lurking outside the railing on the roadside. Because this was a downhill road, Luo Guang found its position when the monster looked up and observed the surroundings. The Swift had a deformed appearance, with bulging muscles on the back, well-developed limbs, and a blue-gray skin color. The gray-white hair was sparsely attached to the scalp. The slightly open mouth was full of jagged teeth, and yellow-green saliva dripped on the ground from time to time. If it was a one-on-one fight, with the shotgun in his hand, he should be able to fight. After getting up, Luo Guang removed the canvas that wrapped the shotgun. At this time, Luo Guang took down the M4S90 shotgun hanging on his back and removed the duckbill muzzle of the gun head first. This duckbill muzzle is a detachable muzzle that Luo Guang installed for people to deal with large groups of zombies. The muzzle can adjust the direction of the bullets in the shotgun to a horizontal line, so that Luo Guang can smash the heads of a row of zombies with one shot. But facing the fast Swift, Luo Guang believes that the coverage of the bullets is more important. As long as the Swift can be hit, it will naturally make the Swift lose the most important speed, which will provide convenience for subsequent supplementary shooting. The terrain here is long and narrow, with hillsides on both sides, but there are not many obstacles. It not only plays the speed advantage of the Swift, but also makes the Swift lose the protection of the bunker when facing Luo Guang's shotgun. There are no other blood plague zombies around, so even if it attracts other zombies as backup by howling, there are no soldiers available here. Luo Guang held the shotgun in his hand. While judging the situation, he walked carefully in the middle of the road. The Swift, who looked up to check the situation, caught Luo Guang's figure at once, but did not charge at the first time. Instead, he stayed close to the ground and tried to hide himself under the shadow of the roadside railing. "Brother Swift, is it funny that you are ambushing in my field of vision?" Luo Guang looked down from above, taking in the Swift's movements, and evaluated in his heart, this Swift has intelligence but no IQ, and some common sense knowledge he had before his death has not been preserved. From a certain perspective, this Swift is also an enhanced version of the red-eyed wolf. Luo Guang continued to go downhill and stopped about 15 meters away from the Swift. In order to deal with various situations, Luo Guang did not load the bullets in the feed tube. After confirming that the Swift still did not move at this distance, Luo Guang directly took out a single-headed bullet and stuffed it into the ejection port on the right. Aiming at the Swift, pulling the trigger, the single-headed bullet flew straight to the ambushing Swift. Perhaps because Luo Guang's gunshot alarmed the Swift, almost at the same time, the Swift quickly moved and leaned on the railings on the roadside to rush towards Luo Guang. The single-headed bullet still hit the Swift, and it went straight through the Swift's buttocks. The Swift was very fast, and Luo Guang did not choose to shoot on the spot, but ran directly to the other side of the road, trying to stay away from the Swift. The Swift also saw the opportunity when Luo Guang was away and quickly climbed over the railing and rushed towards Luo Guang. Luo Guang reacted quickly, raised his gun and aimed at the Swift and fired, this time firing a 12-gauge shotgun. With a bang, the Swift was no longer in the original position. As if recognizing the weapon in Luo Guang's hand, Luo Guang jumped to the left the moment he aimed at it. A bullet fortunately shot into the Swift's right shoulder, but this did not affect the Swift's speed. The Swift seemed to have a ferocious smile on his face, and the opponent's only chance to counterattack was gone. Unlike the lickers, the Swift eyes don't like to jump into the air to take the enemy's head directly. Instead, they plan to put a claw on Luo Guang's side when running past Luo Guang to directly weaken the enemy's combat ability. Ability is the purpose. Unfortunately, Luo Guang had already anticipated this when he saw that the Swift man did not rush straight towards him. The moment the Swift man crossed his right arm, Luo Guang kicked out his left foot, aiming directly at the joint of the Swift man's right hand. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The military shoes equipped with iron toes were like bullets under the explosion of Luo Guang's power. This kick directly broke the Swift man's right paw, and the Swift man did not even feel the force of the kick. Still sprinting forward as always, Luo Guang relied on the force that erupted when he retracted his legs to turn sideways and avoid the non-threatening claws on the Swift man's right hand. The swift man failed to hit a single blow and had no intention of escaping. The three claws stopped the momentum of the charge and immediately turned around to charge Luo Guang again. There was a small click, and the new shotgun was loaded. The swift man was only 2 meters away from his enemy, so he had no choice but to rush over and push the enemy to the ground. Bang! Luo Guang was still leaning sideways, and because the distance was too close, he didn't even need to raise his gun to aim. He held the shotgun at his waist, and the muzzle of the gun was directly locked on the space where the swift man was. This number 12 shot directly shattered the swiftman's imagination of the future. When the distance was close enough, the flying projectiles had not had time to disperse before they all hit the swift man's head and body, stopping the swift man's attack with one shot. There was another click, and Luo Guang pulled the movable holster under the barrel of the shotgun again to load the gun. Bang! Luo Guang shot the velociraptor in the head again as he was still struggling to get up to ensure that the velociraptor could lie down obediently. This move to attack the enemy's joints was taught to him by Gil. When he received training from the Delta Force, the imaginary enemies that Gil faced were living humans, not the slow zombies in Raccoon City. Therefore, when the two were sparring, Luo Guang's method of dealing with zombies was full of loopholes in Gil's opinion, and the attack routes were not varied enough and easy to be seen through, so they were not suitable for dealing with humans. This forced Gil to seize the time to give Luo Guang cramming lessons and correct some of Luo Guang's mistakes in time to prevent Luo Guang from directly using the same tactics used to deal with zombies to deal with human enemies. Originally, Luo Guang had a move that he could use to knock down 10 levels of strength with one move, but he was immediately taught how to attack the joints by Gil, who specializes in exerting force, and was often hit hard by Gil's move, which was so powerful that he couldn't use it. It was frustrating, so Luo Guang could only find his place at night. At this time, Luo Guang used the trick taught by Gil to deal with the swift ones, and it was considered to have achieved certain results. It seemed that he had previously thought that the combat skills he had mastered should be marked with a zombie-only mark. After the battle, the soaring adrenaline began to subside. Taking advantage of the temporary safety, Luo Guang took out a small notebook and began to record the information of the swift man. First of all, the speed of climbing over the railing is extremely fast, and this method is safer and more flexible than jumping over the railing. Although it was a pity that Luo Guang's first shot did not hit the swift man and eliminated the enemy, it showed that the swift man was familiar with the sound of gunshots. Later, when he climbed over the railing and approached Luo Guang, he also avoided the shot. In this way, Luo Guang I can't help but wonder for what reason the swift man judged that he would shoot the moment he aimed at it, or did the swift man instinctively avoid the direction in which the gun was aimed? Luo Guang put a question mark on this issue in his notebook. After recording what he discovered during the battle, Luo Guang came to the side of the swift man and observed. The arms of this swift man seemed to be much longer than those of normal humans, almost as long as the legs. Luo Guang gestured at the length of the swift man's hands and legs and recorded, although the swift man can only be judged by humans are directly mutated, but their bodies have changed to adapt to the way they move on 4 legs. It feels like this person has evolved towards a 4-legged beast after being infected with the blood plague virus. Luo Guang compared the speedster to the red-eyed wolf he encountered before. It was indeed faster. The swift ones show signs of evolution. It seemed that Luo Guang's mention of the word evolution made the system react, and he interjected, but because of the excessive indulgence of the blood plague virus during the evolution process, the brain suffered irreversible damage. So this is considered a failure of evolution. Luo Guang was very curious about the system's standards. The system had not made similar statements about any T-virus infected organisms or biochemical weapons in Raccoon City before. The system sensed Luo Guang's thoughts and explained, those biochemical weapons are just weapons, so no matter how strong they are just human weapons, and there is no evolution. And the T-virus infections seen by the adapters did not show breakthroughs changes, the ability to adapt to the environment, the compensation of weaknesses, etc. did not appear. When Luo Guang heard the system's explanation, he thought of the giant leech hidden in the hospital sewer system in the Resident Evil game. Although it became huge and infinitely powerful, it still retained its original weakness of being afraid of high temperatures. In order to hunt better, this swift creature directly evolved from a bipedal creature to a quadrupedal creature. It abandoned its original way of walking and running on two legs and evolved into a quadrupedal form that is more conducive to hunting. Compared with those blood plague zombies, it has a greater chance of filling your stomach and surviving, the system explains simply. That is to say, evolution has nothing to do with form. It depends more on evolution or mutation. Does the new form comply with the law of the jungle and the survival of the fittest? Luo Guang felt that the evolution the system was talking about was not something lofty like mechanical ascension or psychic ascension, but something closer to the rules of nature. Yes, adapters can understand it this way. The system said that Luo Guang's idea was not wrong. I understand, let's continue on the road. Luo Guang recalled the previous evolution and fell into a coma. The evolution operations were basically completed by system selection. If he obtained the blood plague virus this time, there would be a T virus to fight. At the end of the day, he shouldn't faint again. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Luo Guang walked a few hundred meters more and finally saw the bridge to the North District. However, in addition to the bridge across the river valley, there was an iron wall on the other side of the bridge. What's going on? After Luo Guang confirmed that the surroundings were safe, he took out his binoculars and looked in the direction of the bridge. A tall iron wall was erected, which was not marked on the map Luo Guang got, so Luo Guang did not carry any explosives other than fragmentation grenades. Luo Guang frowned, thinking that this was going to be a big trouble. The town of Trumbull is divided into two sides by a river valley. In order to communicate with the two sides, two bridges across the river valley were built. If the bridge on this side is blocked, the same situation will most likely occur on the bridge on the other side. That is to say, the road to Danforth was blocked. The river valley was very deep, and the water flowed through it very fast. Luo Guang did not want to test the power of nature without equipment such as hooks and claws. There were many cars parked on the bridge in front of the Iron Curtain, as well as a large group of blood plague zombies carrying large and small bags. Luo Guang only took one look and knew what had happened there. But Luo Guang was even more curious as to why the military would build an iron wall here. Aren't Danforth City and Trumbull Valley both virus testing sites for the military? Unable to enter the North District, Luo Guang has no good solution for the time being. However, there are still survivors in this town. If someone knows how to make explosives, he can directly blow up the iron wall. After all, this is just it's a temporary iron wall, so it probably won't be particularly heavy. There are also methods for making explosives in the system's information database, but Luo Guang was afraid of blowing himself up while preparing the explosives. Luo Guang had a plan in mind, and was going to try his luck in the southern part of Trumbull town, which has a larger population. Luo Guang put away the binoculars, refilled the shotgun with bullets, and was about to set off when he heard the roar of a car engine behind him. Thank you all for your concern and support. Asterisk. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 46. Chapter 46 Church Survivors. Luo Guang did not continue walking forward, but walked outside the fence on the roadside, holding a shotgun, waiting for the car to appear. In less than a minute, a dark green Jeep and a white car appeared in Luo Guang's field of vision one after another. The leading Jeep driver was Marcus, whom Luo Guang met at the summer camp before. Luo Guang didn't reach out and give a thumbs up to indicate that he wanted to hitchhike. Instead, Marcus saw Luo Guang on the side of the road, slowly braked and stopped next to Luo Guang, and the car behind him also stopped. Luo, Marcus asked, we are planning to escape to the North District. Do you want to come with us? Luo Guang looked into the car. Sitting in the passenger seat was Maya, whom she had met before, and sitting in the back seat was a boy wearing a baseball cap. OK, Luo Guang opened the rear door, got in the car, and sat behind the driver's seat, while Marcus immediately put down the handbrake and continued to set off. My name is Luo Guang. Luo Guang looked at the man in the baseball cap next to him and introduced himself. Hey, hello, I'm Marcus's good buddy Ed. Ed introduced himself. Seeing sweat on Ed's face and blood on the bandage on his shoulder, Luo Guang asked, Ed, how did you get this injury? I am. Ed was speechless for a moment. He knew that those who were bitten would also turn into those blood plague zombies. He was bitten. Maya turned to Luo Guang and said, I don't know when he will turn into one of those monsters. Luo Guang should be careful. Hey, he's my good brother. And the one who bit Ed wasn't a zombie, it was a wolf, Marcus said dissatisfied. I'm just telling the truth, why are you trying to hurt me? Maya pouted and said dissatisfied, and the eyes of those wolves are as red as those of the zombies. Lily also said that Ed's condition is the same as after being bitten by a zombie. But he's not one of those monsters yet. Marcus felt that his girlfriend didn't respect his good brother, so he didn't soften his words because of Maya's aggrieved expression. Okay, Marcus. What Maya said is the truth. Although Lily said that antiviral drugs can slow down the signs, it still depends on me whether I can survive it. In the end, Ed didn't want his brother's love affair to be ruined because of him. Disillusioned, he came out to smooth things over. Ed, how did you get bitten? Luo Guang was a little curious about what happened between them. Marcus became tougher than before, especially he was not so indulgent towards his girlfriend and felt more assertive. Maya was angry with Marcus, and Ed was injured again, so it was Marcus who took up what Luo Guang said. Ed was bitten when he went up the mountain to pick us up, Marcus explained. Since the crisis broke out in the Trumbull Valley, Ed, one of the survivors, has also joined a team of survivors, and this team is exactly the team Luo Guang met at the Ascension Church. Lily, the radio station administrator, had heard Ed talk about her brother Marcus, so soon after she contacted Marcus, she told Ed the information that Marcus was still alive. Ed and Marcus have been friends since childhood. When he heard about this, he took a double-barreled shotgun, drove a jeep and went up the mountain to look for Marcus. As a result, Ed was attacked by a red-eyed wolf while searching the ranger cabin in the woods. The red-eyed wolf was not afraid of the gun in Ed's hand. After Ed killed one red-eyed wolf with a shotgun, the other red-eyed wolf was already there. He pounced on Ed, and finally Ed used all his strength to kill the remaining red-eyed wolf. In the end, it was Marcus and the two who heard the gunshots who found Ed. Maya joined the conversation at this time and told how the three of them drove back to the church and saved the people in the church who were being besieged. I see, you are so powerful. You have turned the situation against such a headwind. Luo Guang directly ignored Maya's boast about how he protected Ed in the car, and emphatically noted that Marcus was holding a double barrel. Shotguns take down powerful monsters. So the people in the car behind are all survivors of the church. Luo Guang glanced at the car behind. The two people in the front row were both women. Yes, it's a pity that we went back too late. Officer Allen ran away when he saw that he couldn't hold on, and Pastor William and Christian Sam both died. Only Lily and Tanya survived. Marcus was disappointed that he could not save everyone. People feel sorry. You've tried your best. Luo Guang could only comfort the kind-hearted Marcus. Marcus didn't answer, and the car fell into silence. In order to change the atmosphere, Luo Guang began to ask, speaking of which, do you have a destination? Where are you going in the southern district? Ed's aunt had a big bungalow on the south side that we were going to turn into our base. It was Marcus who actually proposed moving out of the church. Marcus slowed down, went around the two cars that collided, and then speeded up again, saying, that place is surrounded by stone walls. Except for the front entrance and the back door, the walls are decorated with spikes. The main ones are there is a big tree in the yard, and there is a tree house on the tree, which can be used as a lookout and sniper tower. Yes, Marcus and I loved going to that secret base when we were kids. We used to hide in the treehouse to sleep and then got bitten all over our bodies by bugs. Ed seemed to recall the past, his face turned red and his eyes were blurred. Get up and say with a smile. Hey, Ed, don't fall asleep. Luo Guang noticed something was wrong with Ed, he seemed to be in a fever. Ed, we're almost there, hold on. Marcus glanced at the rearview mirror nervously, and without caring about anything else, he stepped on the accelerator to accelerate. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Marcus, be careful. Maya grabbed the handle above the car window. Marcus concentrated on driving and did not answer Maya's words. Luo Guang, who got in the car, could only fasten his seat belt, feel the strong push on his back, and pray that Marcus had good driving skills. With a bang, Marcus drove the jeep and directly hit a blood plague zombie that was blocking the road, then drifted and braked, and stopped steadily in a parking space on the side of the road. It's really exciting, Ed, are you okay? Luo Guang looked at Ed, who was vomiting on the side, and asked. No. It's okay, just a little nauseous. Ed seemed to feel very excited and looked a little more energetic. I'll open the door. Marcus, you go help Ed, Luo Guang said immediately when the car stopped. He didn't want to help Ed, who had vomited all over himself. After opening the car door, Luo Guang used a pickaxe to kill the blood plague zombie next to him, and then ran to the big house next to him. There was a tree house in the yard, which was easy to confirm. There was an iron door at the main entrance, and there was no spiked decoration on it, so Luo Guang quickly flipped over and immediately confirmed whether the yard was safe after landing. No one in the yard, but there are figures in the house. After Luo Guang confirmed, he opened the door of the wall to let Marcus and others in, and at this time the car behind was late. Come in. Luo Guang saw the blood plague zombies in the distance coming here because of the sound of the car, and hurriedly greeted the two people in the car. These two people should be Lily and Tanya. One of them was wearing a green short-sleeved military uniform, brown short hair, carrying an M16 assault rifle behind him, holding a luggage bag in one hand, and running towards Luo Guang with steady steps. The other person was wearing a shirt and jeans, and he was not seen carrying any weapons, but was carrying a backpack. Luo Guang saw that the unarmed person was not walking fast, so he took the backpack for him. Thank you. After all the people entered the compound, the unarmed girl thanked Luo Guang and introduced herself. I am Lily Ritter. I am Tanya Adams. The woman in military uniform also introduced herself. I am Luo Guang. Luo Guang handed the backpack to Lily and asked, what's in it? Luo Guang was curious why the other party was holding on when she was obviously a little bit unable to carry it. It's the radio station my dad gave me, Lily said. Hey, Ed, your aunt seems to be in the house. Marcus helped Ed to enter the house, but found a figure shaking inside. Ahem. Ed coughed a few times and shouted, Aunt, I am your baby Ed. The figure inside heard Ed's words, but did not respond, but turned around and walked towards Marcus and the others. Aunt. Ed saw his aunt's pale and terrifying face. His aunt had turned into those zombies. Ed, who was still able to stand, was hit so hard that he fainted. Marcus quickly supported Ed, who was about to fall. Marcus, I'll go. Tanya put the bag on the ground, pulled out the dagger from her waist, and said, sorry to bother you. Ed's aunt was also very kind to Marcus, so Marcus didn't want to do it himself. Tanya nodded and knocked the door of the big house open. Luo Guang saw that Tanya had been in for only 5 seconds, so he came out. Help Ed go in and lie down first, I'll find a shovel. Marcus nodded and called Maya to carry Ed in together. After a busy time, Luo Guang and Tanya buried Ed's aunt in a corner of the yard. Because of limited materials, Luo Guang finally used 2 branches to build a cross for her. Luo Guang patted the dust on his hands and talked to Tanya, I heard from Marcus that your previous base was breached by those zombies. To be precise, it is a monster with 4 legs on the ground, which is different from ordinary zombies. Tanya shook her head and reached for her trouser pocket, but it was empty. Do you have a cigarette? Tanya asked. No. Luo Guang continued to ask, is it a monster with a fast speed? I saw one before I met you. I called it a swifter. Yes. Wait, you encountered and solved that kind of monster? Or alone? Tanya suddenly remembered the monster corpse she passed by when she was driving. Yes, luckily I have a shotgun, otherwise I don't know what to do. Luo Guang changed the subject and said, so you chose this place with a treehouse as a sniper tower to deal with the swifts. That's right, those swifts will not be stopped by the wall at all, so we can only use this method to deal with them, and kill them before they climb over the wall. Tanya glanced at the shotgun behind Luo Guang and nodded in her heart. It is indeed easier to deal with the monster with a shotgun than with her own M16, or the swifts. This name really fits the impression given by the monster. Tanya continued, although we escaped, the current situation is still not optimistic. We are too short of things, and the most important food can't last long. Those damn guys. Those guys. Luo Guang was about to ask about the iron wall, and heard Tanya's muttering, so he asked. You should have seen the iron wall across the bridge, right? Tanya confirmed. Yes, is the guy you are talking about military personnel? Luo Guang asked. Not long after the disaster broke out, the iron wall suddenly stood up on the bridge that communicated with the outside world, and there was not even a door on the iron wall. Tanya had also been on that bridge and talked about what happened that day. My 2 friends and I arrived at the bridge and found the iron wall. Like everyone else, we protested to the military personnel on it, but the people standing on the iron wall did not respond to us at all. Tanya talked about the previous events, her tone full of anger. Later, an officer appeared on the iron curtain and told us that it was to prevent infection, so it was blocked out of necessity, and then the military would send professional troops to rescue us survivors. As a result, the people they sent out were not here for rescue, and we are still in this hellhole. When Luo Guang was about to say something, he saw Lily coming out of the big house calling them, so he put the problem aside for the time being. Luo Guang and Tanya walked into the house and saw Marcus and Maya sitting in the living room waiting for Luo Guang and them. Without antiviral drugs, Ed will not be able to hold on, and we need a doctor. Marcus called everyone together to discuss countermeasures in order to save Ed. Lily said, the day before yesterday, someone saw Dr. Hans from Trumbull Town Hospital being taken away by the Wilkerson family. Speaking of antiviral drugs, have you been to the veterinary hospital in the East District? Luo Guang remembered a veterinary hospital he passed by when he went to the bridge. Veterinary drugs should also be used by humans. I have seen it. There are drugs but only antiviral drugs, Marcus answered and said, why did the Wilkerson family take Dr. Hans away? The specific situation is unclear, but it is probably the same as Ed. Someone in their family was bitten. Now it seems that if we want to save Ed, we must confront the Wilkerson family and rescue Dr. Hans. Lily said that she didn't know the specific situation either. The information she obtained was basically obtained from the radio station. Even under Lily's suggestion, those who had radio stations were exchanging various information. It seems that this is the only way. Marcus did not hesitate at all and made up his mind to go for his brother. Meow, the update time is not stable. Now my head feels like a mess. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 47. Chapter 47. Ed is rescued. Without further delay, I'll leave now. Ed will trouble you, Marcus said so as it was still early. On the other side, Maya did not speak from beginning to end, and kept her head down to prevent others from seeing her expression. "Hey, Marcus, here you go." Tanya handed Marcus a pistol and a magazine, and said, "Be careful. I've heard of the Wilkerson family. They are not good people, and they are not easy to mess with. It's best not to conflict with them easily." I understand Marcus also knew the Wilkerson family, but he knew that Tanya was worried that he would get hot-headed and do bad things impulsively. Marcus took the weapon given by Tanya and got up and left the big house. Next, I plan to set up the radio station. Lily planned to tell others in the radio station about her move. Well, Tanya stood up and said, "Then I'll check the house." "Wait a minute," Tanya Luo Guang stopped Tanya and said, "I want to ask, what did you mean when you said that the military was not here to rescue?" Lily received a message from her radio friend. Her friend said that she must not trust the military. The military does not care about the lives of us survivors. Some people wearing biochemical suits are measuring his physical condition, etc. Tanya explained. Well, it seems that the military wants to study this disaster more than rescuing us survivors, Luo Guang thought and said. Could it be that the military actually knows how this disaster occurred? Tanya speculated. Indeed, biochemical suits are not bite-proof. Do they wear these clothes because they know what caused this disaster, or just for safety reasons? Alas, I don't know. But it's none of our business. We should try not to get involved with those people. I don't want to be dragged into experiments. Now let's go check the situation in the house, Luo Guang suggested. Okay, Tanya told Maya casually, and then went out with Luo Guang, starting with the outer wall of the house. Luo, is there anything you can't say in front of others? Tanya felt that if Luo Guang really thought it was important to check the house, he shouldn't have stopped her to chat at the beginning, and it was a bit sudden to change the topic just now. I'm not familiar with Maya, and she gave people a strange feeling after coming to this house. Maya seemed to talk more before. Tanya looked like a straightforward person, so Luo Guang didn't beat around the bush. I understand what you mean. Tanya raised her eyebrows. Luo Guang's unfamiliarity actually meant distrust. However, the main thing is that what I want to do is not suitable for publicity for the time being. Because Tanya, you are a veteran, so I want to ask you, you have observed the iron wall up close, do you think you can blow it up? Luo Guang judged that Tanya should hate this iron wall that blocked him and others from escaping, and asked directly. Luo, your idea is very dangerous. Although the army does not do human work, if the iron wall is blown up, the disaster here will spread. Tanya is a retired soldier and does not want the disaster to spread. Tanya, don't you think it's strange? If you want to limit the spread of the disaster, why don't you just block the tunnel connecting Danforth City, but spend so much effort to build 2 iron walls? And Tanya, you said before that there are soldiers stationed on the iron wall, but I used a telescope to observe before I met you, and there is no one stationed on the iron wall. Luo Guang explained, I am worried about the North District now. The back of the iron wall has actually fallen, and the personnel there have been evacuated. So you think we have been abandoned and there is only a dead end if we stay in the town? Tanya heard that there was no one stationed on the iron wall, and she also felt strange. No matter how urgent the manpower is, one person will be arranged to stay. Not to mention ordinary zombies, those red-eyed zombies and those swift ones are a great threat to us. We are not so lucky every time, Luo Guang persuaded. Let me think about it. Tanya recalled the experience of last night. If Marcus had not joined the battle in time with a shotgun, the next target of the swift who bit Sam to death would be herself. Luo Guang nodded. There was no need to persuade Tanya, a person with a strong opinion. She would naturally choose the best option for her survival. The two patrolled a circle and returned to the house to check again. After confirming that it was safe, Tanya went to the tree house to start alerting the situation, while Luo Guang searched for useful things in the house. Hey, Luo. Lily stuck her head out of a small utility room and called Luo Guang, who was heading to the kitchen. What's wrong, Lily? Luo Guang walked towards Lily and looked at the utility room, which had been converted into her own radio room by Lily. "It's like this, I heard from Marcus that you went down the mountain with them and then separated, so I want to ask if you met anyone else," Lily asked. "No, what's wrong?" Luo Guang tilted his head. "After the disaster, my father had been surviving in the summer camp on the mountainside with the summer camp students, but later we lost contact, and Marcus said that the people in the camp had left." Lily asked. "Later, Marcus said that you went to find the injured who left the scrapped car, so what was the result?" "No injured or bodies were found," Luo Guang answered truthfully. "That's good. Maybe there was little hope, but if there was no body, there was a chance that my father would survive," so Luo Guang's words made Lily feel a little relieved. "Is there anything else?" Luo Guang asked. "One more thing, if you, Luo Guang, go out to do errands and see a middle-aged uncle wearing a children's watch, that's probably my father," Lily said quickly. Children's watch, Luo Guang thought of the children's watch he found next to a scrapped car. "That was given to my father when I was a child," Lily said sheepishly. "The children's watch I saw is indeed more suitable for girls, can't it be such a coincidence?" Luo Guang thought. In the end, Luo Guang still didn't tell Lily about the children's watch he saw. After saying goodbye to Lily, Luo Guang walked to the kitchen. It was still early when the disaster occurred, and the power and water supply systems were still functioning normally, so Luo Guang placed his target in the refrigerator. After several people had a late lunch, they went to rest. Tanya is taking care of Ed in Ed's room. If Ed mutates, Tanya will ensure that Ed returns to peace as soon as possible. Lily was staying in her radio room, while Luo Guang temporarily took over Tanya's duty to guard the tree house. By the way, Luo Guang could take this opportunity to note the surrounding environment and add some marks to his map. As for Maya, she ran directly into the master room after eating. Luo Guang observed the surroundings with a telescope. There were many more public service facilities in the southern district. The town's courts, police stations, fire stations, hospitals, etc. were basically concentrated in the southern district, with the river across the southern district as the center. The few 3- and 4-story townhouses on the other side of the dividing line were concentrated on the other side, so Luo Guang's field of vision was quite broad. That house Luo Guang found that a house across the street was crowded with blood plague zombies, and the number of red eyes was basically equal to the normal ratio. Moreover, he always felt that the air around the room had something strange. A feeling of redness. Luo Guang decided to observe the situation of the house for a few more days. Just when he was about to record the incident, Lily ran out. "Luo, I received a radio broadcast from the military." When Luo Guang heard the military's broadcast, he naturally would not miss the opportunity to learn about the military's dynamics. He put his notebook and pen back inside his clothes and got out of the treehouse in a hurry. "We will set up a rescue point here at the Snyder Freight Warehouse. At the same time, we also hope that people with lofty ideals will cooperate with us to fight this disaster. This is Sergeant Tan, over." This paragraph had just finished playing on the radio, and within a few seconds it started playing again. "Do you know this Sergeant Tan, Lily?" Luo Guang asked. "I know him." Tanya, who was in Ed's room, came out because she heard the broadcast. She happened to hear Luo Guang's question and replied. "Do you think it's credible? You seem to have said before that people from the military showed up with people in biochemical suits. This time they didn't trick us into doing experiments, right?" Luo Guang asked Tanya what she thought. "I find Sergeant Tan's words credible. He is flexible and listens to advice. Previously, 2 survivors were caught by him breaking into someone else's house and were about to be shot. After my persuasion, he relented and let them go. A way out." Tanya thought about it and said, "I think Sergeant Tan may have made the decision privately." "Decided privately?" Luo Guang asked curiously. "Before you mentioned that the people in the North District may have evacuated, then if the military superiors did not give him an order and did not say that rescue could not be done, I think Sergeant Tan would privately decide to save the civilians. Tanya guessed, wait until Maku after SI comes back, I'll go to Sergeant Tan's place to find out the situation. How about I try to contact Sergeant Tan via the radio first, Lily suggested. No, it's better to go and see him directly. I only believe what I see with my own eyes. Tanya shook her head. That's it, I'll go back and check on Ed first. Okay, Luo Guang nodded. Tanya returned to the room where Ed was, while Lily continued to fiddle with her radio, and Luo Guang also returned to the tree house. In this way, 2.5 hours passed. Back, Luo Guang saw the jeep speeding towards him. There was a man in a white coat sitting in the passenger seat, probably Dr. Hans. Luo Guang immediately went down to open the door for Marcus and the others. How is Ed? Marcus' first sentence was to ask about Ed's situation. Luo Guang didn't hear gunshots from inside the house during this period, so he said, you can still hold on, hurry in. Doctor, let's go this way. Marcus pulled Dr. Hans towards Ed's direction without waiting for Dr. Hans to answer. Luo Guang was also curious about what method Dr. Hans would use to treat Ed's blood plague infection, so after confirming the safety of the surrounding area, he got down from the treehouse and walked to Ed's room. Doctor, how is Ed doing? When Luo Guang entered, Dr. Hans was diagnosing Ed with a stethoscope. Hearing Marcus' inquiry, he replied, well, the situation is not bad. Although the temperature is very high, this proves that his immune system is still intact. If things are running smoothly, things will turn around. After confirming, Dr. Hans hung the stethoscope around his neck, opened the medical box he carried with him, took out a box of medicine, poured 2 pills out, handed it to Marcus, and told him, give him the antipyretic medicine first. Keep feeding him. His body temperature is too high now. Before the infection kills him, his own immune system will burn him to death first. Okay, Marcus took out the water bottle in his backpack and fed Ed the medicine. Next, when the patient's temperature drops slightly, give him the antiviral drug, 1 pill at a time, once a day, or twice a day if the situation is not right, but unless it is an emergency, the interval should be 6 hours. Dr. Hans gave Marcus another small plastic bag with 6 pills in it. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Okay, Marcus asked again, if Ed's condition has not improved or he has not fully recovered after taking this medicine, what should we do? I think you have a radio station in this room. Dr. Hans asked this question when he was pulled into the room by Marcus and happened to pass by Lily's radio room. Yes, Marcus nodded. In that case, I won't stay here. I plan to stay at the survivor base near the court. There are many guards there. Otherwise, it would be bad if I was kidnapped and put under house arrest again. I think it's very close to here. If you have any problems, just go to me directly. Dr. Hans might have been kidnapped by the Wilkerson family shortly after the judge called him to the court on the radio. Dr. Hans stood up and said to Marcus, Marcus, to be honest, the medical conditions in the town are not good now. If the antiviral drugs don't work, you have to be mentally prepared. I understand, doctor, I'll take you to the court. Marcus understood what Dr. Hans had to do mentally. I'll take you, Luo Guang suggested. Marcus, you've been busy all afternoon, take a break now. Thank you. Marcus really felt tired. Luo Guang suggested so that he couldn't refuse, so he threw the jeep key to Luo Guang. Luo Guang took the key and took Dr. Hans out of the house. After dealing with the blood plague zombies beside the car, Luo Guang and Dr. Hans got in the car. Starting the engine, Luo Guang fastened his seat belt and asked, my name is Luo Guang, Dr. Hans. Is the antiviral drug effective for people like Ed who were bitten by wolves? Is it also effective for those who were bitten by zombies? If you are bitten by a wolf, it would be better to use antibiotics and rabies vaccines, but when I examined Ed, I found that his symptoms were more like viral infection, and they were exactly the same as those of people bitten by zombies. I once used the hospital's instruments to analyze the blood of patients and found that there was an unknown virus in their blood. I speculated that it was this virus that turned people into those monsters called zombies, Dr. Hans said. I see the court was next to the river across the South District, so Luo Guang drove across the bridge and turned a corner and soon arrived at the court. The people at the court base set up a defensive position at the entrance. The bodies around the position seemed to have been cleaned up, with only bloodstains and bullet shells, but no piles of blood plague zombies. 2 policemen were guarding the defensive position. When they saw Luo Guang's car, they directed Luo Guang to pull the car to the side. At first, Luo Guang only planned to ask Dr. Hans about the treatment of the blood plague virus when he took him back, but after seeing the court base, Luo Guang suddenly wanted to go in and take a look. Recently, I have been lying in bed and typing on my phone when I am awake, and I can't muster the energy to do the examination. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 48. Chapter 48 Theft. Stop. One of the policemen guarding the door reached out to stop Luo Guang, and then said to Dr. Hans next to Luo Guang, "Dr. Hans, Judge Heller has been waiting for you for a long time." Dr. Hans is one of the few doctors in the town, and many people know him. When such a disaster occurs in the town, most people will not offend a doctor. The different treatment by the police at the door made Luo Guang feel like he was attending some party with Dr. Hans and was turned away because he couldn't brush his face like Dr. Hans. "He came with me." Dr. Hans had a good impression of Luo Guang. When he got out of the car, he heard Luo Guang said he wanted to go in and take a look, so he came forward and said to the policeman who stopped Luo Guang, "I'm sorry, doctor. The judge has ordered that all survivors who want to join here must hand in their weapons, and the weapons include firearms or close-range attack weapons such as knives. Because the judge thinks that there is no need for more soldiers here. So the survivors who join just need to become law-abiding residents," the policeman said helplessly, shrugging. "In this situation outside, you have confiscated all the weapons of the survivors. If this place is breached, the people inside will have no power to fight back." Hans had seen the zombie swarm composed of blood plague zombies outside. How to attack the survivor base? If the Wilkerson family hadn't stored a large amount of weapons and ammunition to block the incoming zombie army, I might not have been able to leave that place alive. There's no way, that's the rule here, and we have repelled several waves of zombie attacks without any injuries. The policeman shook his head, indicating that he could not be accommodating. "Wait a minute, Judge Heller said you can't join here unless you hand in your weapons, right?" Luo Guang stopped Dr. Hans, who wanted to refute the other party, seized the loophole in the other party's words, and asked. "That's right," the policeman nodded. "But I'm not here to join you, I'm just here to visit." Luo Guang directly used the word visit. This policeman encountered this situation for the first time and was speechless. "Stephen, since the other person didn't join here, it's okay," another policeman persuaded. Luo Guang could see that the policeman who persuaded him did not seem to agree with the rules announced by the judge. "Okay, listen, Carol." A policeman Stephen turned sideways and asked Luo Guang to follow Dr. Hans into the court door. "What on earth is that judge thinking? Does she really think the defense here is impenetrable?" Dr. Hans lowered his voice and said to Luo Guang. Dr. Hans, who had experienced the Wilkerson family defense war, had seen a giant zombie that was huge and could keep moving forward even if it was shot in the head. It was like a bulldozer. Coupled with that kind of extremely fast zombie, Dr. Hans didn't believe that the small number of policemen in the small town could survive without any injuries. After all, she is not the one who has to fight the zombies. So far, this place has been well protected. She will only receive reports from the police about how many zombie attacks they have defended today. Luo Guang didn't know the residents here. What did he think of the judge, so he lowered his voice. "Luo, can you accompany me to see the judge?" Dr. Hans hesitated for a while and said, "I think it's not a good idea to stay here. Let's say hello to the judge and leave." With Dr. Hans' ability, he is an honored guest in any survivor group, so Dr. Hans does not want to stay in this place with great hidden dangers, even if it is protected by most of the police in the town. Understood. Luo Guang nodded, naturally welcoming Dr. Hans to fill the missing medical role in the team. Since Dr. Hans wanted to follow Luo Guang back, Luo Guang stopped visiting and followed Dr. Hans to Judge Heller's office. "Ah, Dr. Hans, it's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a few days and I thought you had an accident." Judge Heller, who had finished signing a document, was very happy to see Hans and continued. "I once sent people out to look for you, but they couldn't find you because there are still many civilians here, so I had to let them all come back." Fortunately, Judge Heller added the following sentence in time, otherwise Dr. Hans's face would definitely not look good. "I was taken away by members of the Wilkerson family. Although the Wilkerson family did this to save their own family members, this did not mean that Dr. Hans would forgive them for placing him under house arrest." "What?" Judge Heller asked in surprise. "I know that the people in their family are indeed not good people, but they actually broke the law so blatantly." "There is nothing surprising." Dr. Hans told Judge Heller the facts outside the court. "Judge Heller, there is no law outside now, as long as you can survive. By the way, this is Luo Guang, a member of the survivor team who rescued me. I am very grateful to Judge Heller for deploying the protection force here to find me, but Luo Guang and the others only used one radio and only sent I was rescued by just one person." Dr. Hans did not give Judge Heller time to reply, and while introducing Luo Guang, he told how he was rescued. Marcus told Dr. Hans how he was discovered to have been kidnapped, and based on this comparison, Dr. Hans felt that it would be good to follow Luo Guang and his team of survivors. After hearing Dr. Hans' introduction, Judge Heller set her sights on Luo Guang for the first time. She had previously thought that he was just a bodyguard hired by Dr. Hans. At this time, Judge Heller took a look at the shotgun on Luo Guang's back and then greeted Luo Guang. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. At this time, one of Luo Guang's team was seriously injured, so I can't stay here. Dr. Hans brought up the real topic of this meeting with Judge Heller. "Doctor, are you just coming here to say hello this time?" Judge Heller thought of what Dr. Hans had said before and finally understood what Dr. Hans meant. "Is it because we didn't save you, Dr. Hans? I apologize to you for this. We have always been short of doctors here, and we really need you, Dr. Hans, to take charge of the medical room here." Judge Heller's tone was a little anxious, and she still hoped that Dr. Hans could stay, so that her planned unbreakable fortress would be basically completed. "No." Dr. Hans shook his head and said, "As I said before, someone in Luo Guang's team was seriously injured. They need my help, and this is to repay their kindness." "Okay." Judge Heller saw that the other party was determined to leave, and since the disaster, he had not received any reports of guards being injured in the process of fighting zombies, so he did not try to keep him. "Then Luo Guang, where is your base?" Judge Heller decided to settle for the second best, as long as he could find a doctor to treat him when necessary. "There is a big house with a tree house after crossing the bridge." Luo Guang's description was simple and easy to understand. Judge Heller, who was born and raised in the area, nodded to indicate that he knew where it was. The topic had come to this point, and both sides had nothing else to say, so Dr. Hans left with Luo Guang. Dr. Hans put his hand on the door of the judge's office, turned his head and said to the judge, "Judge Heller, I have one last piece of advice for you. Don't underestimate those zombies. With their fighting power, you need more fighters." Judge Heller was stunned, and then took another look at the weapon on Luo Guang's back. He immediately understood what Dr. Hans was going to say. After a relaxed smile, Judge Heller said, "It's okay, Doctor. The police here are all great guys. Those zombies are nothing to be afraid of. They also said that they were target practice. Well, it's better to be careful. Goodbye." Judge Heller. After Dr. Hans finished speaking, he opened the door forcefully and left the judge's office with Luo Guang. Doctor, are you leaving, Stephen, the policeman at the door, was surprised. Yes, I won't be here for the time being. Someone in his team was seriously injured and the situation is quite serious. I need to keep an eye on the injured. Dr. Hans repeated what he said to Judge Heller. Okay. Policeman Stephen, who was speaking, saw Luo Guang staring at him. After watching Luo Guang and Dr. Hans leave, the police officer Carola, who persuaded Stephen to let the people in, left a message for Stephen to watch the door, and immediately ran into the court to find his boss, the sheriff of Trumbulltown. Not to mention the old sheriff who went to Judge Heller to argue. After learning that Judge Heller let the doctor go, Luo Guang and Dr. Hans quickly returned to the treehouse base. After Luo Guang knocked the blood plague zombies that appeared from nowhere around him to death again, he returned to the big house with Dr. Hans. Hey? Doctor, why are you back? Marcus was surprised to see Dr. Hans, who turned back. I came to join you. I hope you don't mind having more mouths. Dr. Hans looked at Marcus, who was loyal to him, and joked. How is Ed? Luo Guang wanted to know the effect of Dr. Hans' treatment of Ed, so he took the initiative to ask. Very good, the body temperature has dropped, and Ed woke up once in the middle. Marcus saw that his friend's condition had improved, and he couldn't help but tell Luo Guang with a smile. The situation is good. Just continue to take the medicine on time. Dr. Hans nodded and prepared to diagnose Ed again, while Luo Guang left the room and went to the kitchen to confirm the food inventory. After boiling a pot of hot water, Luo Guang prepared to check the food reserves. After all, Dr. Hans came, and there were really one more mouth to feed. As a result, Luo Guang opened the cupboard and found that there seemed to be some canned food missing. Luo Guang used the ingredients in the refrigerator first for lunch. Lily was still collecting intelligence in the radio room. Luo Guang asked Lily what Maya was doing. Lily replied that she didn't know, maybe Maya was still in the master room and didn't come out. Luo Guang then went to the treehouse to find Tanya and told her some information from the court. She actually confiscated weapons. She is confiscating the right of civilians to resist zombies. Tanya was disdainful of Judge Heller's actions. Well, so Dr. Hans followed me back. Luo Guang finished speaking, and immediately said what he wanted to ask. I saw that the canned food in the cupboard seemed to have decreased. Did someone take it? What? That's not right. I put away the canned food I brought from the church before I went to the treehouse for alert. Tanya finished speaking, and she looked at Luo Guang, and the two immediately returned to the kitchen of the big house. Look, Luo Guang pointed to Tanya. This. Tanya felt that she was going to explode, and her tone contained anger, and she said, Luo Guang, most of the canned food is missing, and the empty luggage bag I put here is also missing. Are we robbed? Luo Guang's first reaction was that someone came to steal things, and he was instantly furious. Not necessarily. Where's Maya? Lily had been in the radio room and was not in good physical condition, while Marcus had been staying with Ed in the room. When Luo Guang went out, he had not yet packed his food bag, so Tanya immediately looked suspiciously at Maya, who had been out of sight for a long time. Let's go find Marcus and ask him first, Luo Guang suggested. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content below. Okay, Tanya didn't want to wrongly accuse a good person, so she agreed to Luo Guang's suggestion. However, Marcus' answer made Luo Guang and Tanya's faces change. What's wrong? Marcus asked when he saw that Luo Guang and Tanya's faces were not good. You said Maya asked you to borrow a gun a few minutes ago, right? Luo Guang asked. Yes. Did something happen to Maya? Although Marcus' relationship with Maya became a little stiff because of various things, he still cared about his girlfriend in his heart. Wait a minute, Tanya, please check if Maya is still there. Luo Guang asked Tanya, who was also a woman, to find Maya. Got it. Tanya did not refuse, and took action immediately, and returned soon. I have checked the master bedroom, toilet, and backyard. Maya is not there, and there are traces of people walking on the lawn in the backyard, leading directly to the back door. Tanya directly told the information she had collected. Marcus, we found that a large number of canned food and a luggage bag were missing. Luo Guang explained the situation to Marcus. This shows that the person who took the canned food did not prepare the container to steal the cans in advance, and we just moved in today, so it can basically be ruled out that it was an outsider who committed the crime. Luo Guang's words of ruling out outsiders made Marcus instantly understand why Luo Guang asked Maya before. Wait, is there any misunderstanding here? Marcus did not think his girlfriend would do such a thing. Marcus, I plan to catch the thief based on the other party's traces. You come with me, Tanya directly suggested. You can also confirm with your own eyes whether it is Maya. Okay, Marcus did not refuse, and got up directly and followed Tanya out of the room. Doctor, we still won't despise you. There are still a lot of food in the refrigerator. Luo Guang remembered that he checked the food reserves because of a joke from the doctor, so he said to Dr. Hans beside him. This. Dr. Hans smiled bitterly and finally asked a practical question: how long can the food last? 3 to 4 days. Luo Guang was very honest, but he also added, but now there are so many empty houses, it is still relatively convenient to find food at this stage. That's good. Dr. Hans is still optimistic about this small team and doesn't want it to break up like this. I keep coughing and it's so annoying. What medicine do you take? Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 49. Chapter 49. Base Defense Battle. Marcus and Tanya were tracking Maya's footsteps. It's all my fault. The food and Maya disappeared at the same time. Marcus found it hard to believe that Maya was innocent, but he first blamed himself for not considering Maya's mood. He only cared about Ed's condition along the way, and had a dispute with Maya. In the previous month, he had taken meticulous care of Maya and loved her, but on the first day after returning, he was so cold and impolite to Maya. Perhaps this was a day when Maya fell from heaven to hell, causing Maya to do such a thing. Marcus thought so, and then he said the self-blame just now. Now is not the time to talk about this, we are outside, Marcus. After all, Marcus saved himself in the church, so Tanya couldn't say anything, so she could only remind Marcus to concentrate. The two crouched and moved forward carefully, solving or avoiding the blood plague zombies they encountered. As a result, after a few steps, they found an unopened can of food on a trail. Looking around, there were several canned foods on the trail, as if to leave clues. Tanya didn't understand the situation at this time, but Marcus probably understood what was going on, so he said to Tanya, Tanya, I'll go find Maya first, you collect the canned foods on the road, thank you. Marcus didn't wait for Tanya to reply, and stopped stealth, got up and ran along the canned foods on the road. Tanya didn't bring any containers with her this time, so she couldn't do anything about the canned foods on the ground. After taking a look at the canned foods on the ground, Tanya made up her mind and didn't care about the canned foods, and ran directly after Marcus. Not long after running, Tanya heard a gunshot, which was the sound of the pistol she gave to Marcus and Marcus gave to Maya. Tanya quickened her pace and finally came to a house, and Tanya's quick steps stopped there, and she didn't rush in. The house was half surrounded by a 2.5 meter high wooden wall. On the side facing the road, there was a gap large enough for cars to enter. A cement road was paved leading directly to the garage, and there was no door installed in this gap. On the other side of the house, Maya was aiming and shooting with a gun, while Marcus picked up the one-handed axe that he had been carrying on his waist since camping and swung it. They were not killing each other, but were caught in the attack of blood plague zombies. There were still blood plague zombies coming out of the house, and when Tanya saw this, her first reaction was to help. Be careful, Marcus pulled Maya with his left hand, and the one-handed axe in his right hand chopped forward, and the axe chopped into the head of the blood plague zombie in front of him. Marcus kicked over and pulled out the one-handed axe, allowing the blood plague zombie he had solved to knock down the blood plague zombie coming out behind him like a domino. Taking this opportunity, Marcus and Maya wanted to escape from the house, but at this time, a zombie with both hands lost and chin and jaw starting to split from the middle to both sides suddenly walked out from the left side of the yard. Dark red blood flowed from the split chin to the clothes on the chest and solidified. This special blood plague virus monster, in the intelligence that Luo Guang had seen, was named the Screamer by the military, and it was also the monster that Luo Guang would choose to kill with one shot after meeting. However, the three people here did not know this information, and did not kill the Screamer immediately. The Screamer who found Marcus and Maya did not rush towards the two, but bent down and screamed directly to the sky. Just like the screams of humans, Marcus and Maya, who were running out of the house, chose to cover their ears immediately, and when they covered their hands, their feet stopped unconsciously, and their expression seemed very painful. It seems that because of the screaming, the zombies around became more active and began to gather at the location where Marcus and the other two were. Tanya, who was far away from the Screamer, was less affected. Enduring the huge scream, Tanya used her M16 assault rifle to kill the Screamer with one shot. Although the screaming stopped, Marcus and the others still couldn't walk well at this time, and could only stagger towards Tanya. Since Tanya had already fired, she didn't hesitate to use the precious 5.56 bullets, and directly killed the red-eyed zombies rushing towards Marcus and Maya one by one with precise point shooting. Fortunately, Marcus and Maya finally recovered about 2 seconds after the screaming stopped. Marcus brought Maya and Tanya together, and Tanya suddenly heard a pistol shot beside her. It was Maya who found that there were zombies with glowing red eyes on the road rushing towards the three people, so she raised her gun and shot to cover Tanya's back. Hurry up, Tanya saw the number of blood plague zombies on the field and knew that the bullets she brought with her this time would definitely not be enough, so she shouted to Marcus and the others, and stopped shooting and ran along the path she came in. On the other side, Luo Guang, who was on guard in the tree house at the base, also heard the screams of the screamers, but Luo Guang did not go out rashly. Instead, he turned off the lights in the house and asked Dr. Hans and Lily to stay in the same room with Ed, while he sat in the living room, guarding the main door that had not been repaired after being damaged by Tanya. Not long after, there was a sound from the back door. "We are back," Tanya said in a low voice. "What's the situation?" Luo Guang appeared from behind the pillar and turned on the special flashlight. "There are zombies following us. Marcus and Maya are preparing to stop them." Tanya quickly explained the situation. "Maya seems to have stolen the canned food for other reasons. We will deal with this later." "What about Lily and the others?" This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. I heard a huge scream. Just in case I gathered them all in Ed's room. If Ed was not unable to walk now, Luo Guang would let Lily and the others hide directly in the tree house. "That's good. What about the front door?" Tanya did not stand to chat. She went into the house to find the bag of ammunition and weapons in Danforth City. "I am the only combat force. I can only guard here." Luo Guang took the box of number 12 shotgun shells handed to him by Tanya. Then Luo Guang, "Go and confirm the situation of the main gate first. I will go to support Marcus and Maya." Tanya stuffed herself with bullets and said to Luo Guang. Understood. Luo Guang didn't say much. After opening the box of shotgun, he stuffed the bullets into his pockets, and then ran to the front door with the M4S90 shotgun. Luo Guang chose to go directly to the treehouse to observe the situation. He couldn't see the direction of the back door, but Luo Guang heard the roar of the blood plague zombies from there. It has become very clear. There is another problem. The sun has set. Luo Guang looked at the gathering point of blood plague zombies across the street, or the infection point. The large number of red-eyed blood plague zombies there did not react to the roar at the back door, which made Luo Guang slightly relieved. After confirming that the front door was temporarily safe, Luo Guang returned to the house and found Lily. He asked her to monitor the situation of the front door in the house and notify him if there was anything. Luo Guang also joined the battle at the back door. The back door, which was less than 1.5 meters wide, seemed to be an insurmountable barrier for the blood plague zombies. As long as they approached the back door, they would be killed one by Marcus holding a one-handed axe. On the other side, Maya also held a shovel in the backyard utility room to help Marcus fight the zombies at the back door, just like playing whack-a-mole. Looks like the situation is good, Luo Guang came to Tanya and asked when he saw that the other party did not aim and shoot. At this time, Tanya did not have a chance to attack. She was holding an M16 assault rifle and standing behind the two of them, just in case. The situation has stabilized for the time being, so I will not intervene, so as not to attract more zombies, Tanya explained. Indeed, it is easy to attract more zombies after dark. Luo Guang looked at the back door worriedly and said, "Let me see if there are any more handy weapons in the utility room." Luo Guang was about to walk to the utility room in the backyard, and looked at the back door again. His face changed. "Marcus, Maya, stay away from the back door." What? Although Marcus didn't know why Luo Guang suddenly asked him to leave, he also stepped back while questioning. Marcus had just moved about 5 meters away from the back door when he heard a bang like a balloon exploding behind him. A burst of thick smoke suddenly appeared at the back door, covering the entire back door. Maya, who followed Marcus steps away from the back door, was startled by the sudden appearance of the thick smoke and asked quickly, "What is that?" "I have encountered it before. I call it a swollen corpse. It has slender limbs and a big belly. It is full of these poisonous gases, and these poisonous gases can be ignited," Luo Guang explained simply. "So can we just watch like this now?" Marcus saw that there were more and more zombies piled up at the back door, and the back door looked shaky. "I don't want to inhale the gas produced by those zombies into my lungs," Luo Guang said, "otherwise, I can only use a gun, but the timing is really too bad now." Luo Guang actually didn't know what night was for the blood plague zombies, whether it was the time or the setting sun, and why these blood plague zombies would become very active at night regardless of whether they had red eyes or not. The military was still studying this issue, so Luo Guang didn't know, but what was certain was that the strength of the zombies knocking on the back door suddenly increased just now, and the eyes of the red-eyed blood plague zombies began to glow. "The zombies are rushing in." Tanya put her M16 assault rifle on her back, side, and took out a dagger. "Cover each other and block them within a certain range." Luo Guang also took out his mountaineering pick. "Got it. In order to survive, everyone must unite this time." With a bang, the back door was knocked open. The blood plague zombie that rushed out of the poison gas was hit on the head by Maya with a shovel. The blood plague zombie lowered his body and half squatted down. Then Maya used the shovel as a spear and stabbed the front of the shovel into the middle of the half-crouching zombie's eyes with the front part of the shovel, killing him with one blow. Other blood plague zombies gradually ran in. Just when Maya killed a blood plague zombie, Tanya and Marcus also intercepted the blood plague zombies on both sides. Although these blood plague zombies are faster than during the day, and there are also red-eyed blood plague zombies with red eyes that can run. But Tanya knows how to play to their strengths and avoid weaknesses. Facing the blood plague zombies rushing over, she directly inserted the dagger into the zombie's chin, and then pushed the blood plague zombie that had been solved to the blood plague zombie at the back door to slow down the speed of the blood plague zombies coming in. On the other side, Marcus looked like the god of war. At this time, he was swinging a one-handed axe constantly. The sharp axe could attack the blood plague zombie faster than the blood plague zombie that wanted to attack him. Head. As for Luo Guang, he can only say that he is used to this kind of scene, especially now that the mountaineering pickaxe that Luo Guang holds is much lighter than the fire axe. In addition, the skulls of the blood plague zombies in front of him are different from those of the zombies in Raccoon City. He became even softer after being infected, which made Luo Guang the fastest person on the scene to eliminate the blood plague zombies. The second one is Marcus, the third one is Tanya, and the last one is naturally Maya. Although Maya can be regarded as someone who exercises regularly, she is not a light shovel. After a while, Maya retreated from the battle and stood at the back door to catch her breath. At this time, the battle line can basically be said to have been broken through, and everyone can only fight on their own in the small backyard. The poisonous gas gradually dissipated, and a huge roar suddenly appeared that was different from before. Tanya was the first to react and shouted, "It's the Swift One." Tanya and the other three had all heard the roar of the velociraptor, but Luo Guang had not heard the roar, and his reaction was half a beat too slow. The sound of fighting here was already loud. Tanya finally decided to use firearms to fight quickly. She kicked away the blood plague zombies that were close to her. She picked up her M16 assault rifle and said, "Marcus, the double-barreled shotgun is reserved for dealing with the swift ones, Luo Guangqin's shotgun is used to clean up the zombies." Since Tanya had given herself a lot of number 12 shotguns before, Luo Guang was not stingy with the bullets. He took out the shotgun he was carrying and started shooting at the back door. Bang, click, click, click. Luo Guang fired 2 shotguns to stop the blood plague zombies pouring in from the back door. Then Luo Guang quickly installed the duckbill muzzle on the shotgun. Bang, aiming at the height of the blood plague zombie's head, Luo Guang fired another shot, directly killing 3 or 4 blood plague zombies in a horizontal line. With Luo Guang suppressing the back door, Tanya could focus on the Swift One, who only roared but was nowhere to be seen. But the direction chosen by the velociraptor to attack was not the back door and the wall on that side. Instead, it climbed over directly from the side wall. As soon as it landed, it rushed towards Maya, who was hiding behind Marcus with a pistol after hearing the roar. Although there was no time to stop the Swiftman from climbing over the wall, everyone heard the noise caused by the Swiftman's landing. Marcus took 2 shots with a double-barreled shotgun. He didn't hold anything back, but he couldn't make any gains. Both shots were empty. But Tanya on the other side would not miss this opportunity. First, she fired 3 consecutive shots directly into the waist and abdomen of the Swift Man, which stunned the Swift Man, who had just jumped away, and allowed Luo Guang, who followed up, to finish off the Swift Man with a shotgun. With the biggest threat solved, Luo Guang fired nearly a dozen rounds at the blood plague zombies at the back door. After a wave of satisfaction, he finally managed to count the blood plague zombies that were still moving at the back door. The 4 of them worked hard and finally solved them. This siege. Just looking at the mess in front of them, the 4 of them looked at each other, probably they were going to move again. "I have to go to work again, and I am so afraid of exchanging virus strains with others." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tongmiao. Chapter 50. Chapter 50. Join. "It seems like we can't live here for a long time." Marcus scratched his head in distress and said. There were corpses lying on the ground in front and behind the back door. The carotid arteries of several blood plague zombies were hit by the shotgun pellets fired by Luo Guang. A large amount of black and red blood spurted out and smeared all over the floor. "Can't we clean it up?" Luo Guang asked. "I think there have been several sieges and battles over the courthouse, but they have been cleaned up and the zombie bodies at the door have been moved away." "It's possible, but the workload is too big. We don't have the corresponding protective clothing. Even if we wear gloves and masks to move those zombies, it's not hygienic. Besides, the entrance to the courthouse has a cement floor, while our side has mainly lawn and mud floors, so we can't even wipe them." Tanya shook her head and said, "It's so troublesome to go back and forth, it's better to just change places to live. Anyway, there are still a lot of vacant rooms in the South District. But Ed's condition has just improved now. Will it get worse again if we run around again?" Marcus said worriedly. You have to ask Dr. Hans to know this. Luo Guang said that Marcus should ask professionals about his questions. Maya on the side suddenly apologized, I'm sorry, it's all my fault, which led to a series of things and troubles later. So what's wrong with you? There are only 2 big houses between the house where Maya is just hiding and the tree house base, and she deliberately left tracking clues, so Tanya can't understand why Maya does such a harming thing. Self-interested things. I just want Marcus to care about me a little more. Maya's answer made Tanya and Luo Guang think that they shouldn't have stopped the Swiftmen from rushing towards Maya just now. Do you think it's time to play house? Did you just come out of the mountains? Didn't you see how serious the situation in the valley was when you were in the church? Tanya was furious. She didn't expect that it had been a month since the disaster occurred and that such a willful person was still alive. On the other hand, Luo Guang also wanted to curse in retrospect, but was reconciled. Luo Guang suddenly thought of something and said, Tanya, Marcus, Maya and I did just come out of the mountains, so it's understandable that Maya doesn't have a sense of crisis now. Then Luo Guang told Tanya about Marcus and the 2 camping outside for a month. But I did make a mistake. Even if I didn't cover my head and sulk to talk to Marcus, I wouldn't have attracted so many zombies. Fortunately, there was only one Swiftman, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous. Maya shook her head. He shook his head, not wanting to make excuses for his mistakes, and memorizing his mistakes. Tanya, Luo Guang, I know it's useless to apologize verbally. We will be responsible for getting the lost food back, even if it is at night. We will get it back later, Marcus suggested, also for the sake of my girlfriend spends a lot of time. Marcus? I can go alone. Maya felt that Marcus was the one who was involved. And we can go during the day tomorrow, right? Hey, you're my girlfriend, how could I let you go to such a dangerous place alone? Marcus said that Maya had taken the blame himself, and explained at the same time, the cans of food are always taken away when they are placed there. It's a risk, and if we don't get the canned food back as soon as possible, how can we show our sincerity in apologizing? Don't worry, I will protect you. Marcus, thank you. Maya had tears in her eyes, and the 2 looked at each other affectionately. That's enough, what kind of show of affection are you doing? Luo Guang was speechless and quickly asked the 2 of them to stop. Anyway, Marcus, take Maya to get the food back, and bring me double the food, and bring some bottled water. Luo Guang saw that Tanya looked unhappy because the 2 started to show affection, so he directly assigned punishment tasks to Marcus and the other 2. Now that the zombies have been cleared around, the base is temporarily safe. Tanya, you and I will go to Sergeant Tan's place now then, Luo Guang said to Tanya. Luo Guang, do you want to join Sergeant Tan and the others directly? Tanya thought that Luo Guang wanted to take this opportunity to join Sergeant Tan because he was moving. I'm not making suggestions for this. As for what you said about joining Sergeant Tan, I don't care. And if you don't join, we can still take the cooperation route. However, we need to see and understand the situation in person before making a decision. Luo Guang he explained that the 2 of them were just going to investigate the situation this time, but after speaking, Luo Guang made an English bomb mouth shape where Marcus and Maya didn't see it. Well, indeed we should confirm the situation first and then come back to discuss it with everyone. Tanya nodded and said after seeing Luo Guang's signal. After the decision was made, Marcus used a shovel to temporarily block the back door, and then went to look for food with Maya. Luo Guang and Tanya also told Lily and Dr. Hans their plans. Lily said it didn't matter, and Dr. Hans seemed to be interested in Ed's resumption of treatment, so he didn't plan to change teams for the time being, so he just followed Lily's team. After making arrangements for the treehouse base, Luo Guang and Tanya drove the jeep to the Snyder freight warehouse where Sergeant Tan was located. Although it was night, the 2 of them finally arrived at the Snyder freight warehouse safely, and helped Marcus and the others attract many blood plague zombies. The 2 parked the car on the road opposite the warehouse and used melee weapons to clear the way to the main entrance. The reason why he did not drive the car far away but drove directly to the main entrance of the Snyder freight warehouse was because zombies could not drive. Luo Guang could avoid the possibility of being accidentally shot by warehouse soldiers to the greatest extent. If the people in the warehouse had bad intentions, Luo Guang can also run away with just one step of the accelerator. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The Snyder freight warehouse has personnel patrolling the steel guardrails along the perimeter. Seeing Luo Guang and Tanya, the soldiers guarding the main entrance asked Luo Guang and Tanya about their identities and purposes, then led them to where Sergeant Tan was, and then exited the room. This room, which was originally the warehouse manager's office, was turned into Sergeant Tan's office and command room. A map of the entire Trumbull town was posted on a whiteboard. Tanya, it's you. Sergeant Tan heard that the person he wanted to meet was a civilian. He thought he wanted to join after hearing his broadcast, but he didn't expect that he would be an acquaintance of his. Sergeant Tan, long time no see, your position seems to have remained the same. Tanya knew Sergeant Tan before she was discharged from the army, and they had a good relationship. Haha, I have no connections or backers. This position has come to an end. Didn't you leave the army because you knew these things? Sergeant Tan said with a wry smile, then brought the topic back to the topic. You didn't come here just to ridicule me. Yes, what's the matter? 10. Are you unable to contact your superior, since the other party said so? Tanya asked directly. How do you know? Sergeant Tan asked, and answered Tanya's question. Yes, we lost contact with our superiors 3 days ago, and our superiors did not see helicopters sent to provide support and pull us away. So you decided on your own to save civilians? Tanya asked to confirm Sergeant Tan's views on civilians. That's right. The only mission given to us by our superiors is to protect those wearing biochemical suits. After Sergeant Tan finished speaking, he said another sentence, but this time there was a little anger in his tone. Those wearing biohazard suits were picked up directly by helicopters, and we were given the task of staying on standby. Later, we lost contact with our superiors. Do you think you have been abandoned? Or maybe something happened to your superiors? Luo Guang interjected and asked. Who is this? Sergeant Tan did not answer immediately and asked Tanya about Luo Guang's identity. He is Luo Guang. He is on the same team as me and can be trusted, Tanya said. Luo, I think there is something wrong with the superiors. After all, there is no need for them to abandon us. Sergeant Tan expressed his thoughts. Well, are your superiors stationed in the north area of the town? Luo Guang asked another question. Yes, that's where we boarded the helicopter and headed to other areas of the town. Although Sergeant Tan didn't know that Luo Guang had nothing to ask, he still answered. There is no one guarding the iron wall of the bridge. Is this normal? Sergeant Tan was stunned by what Luo Guang said. Sergeant Tan thought for a while and then said, under normal circumstances, it should not be left unattended. Although the iron wall does not have a door, it has an elevator-like structure that can take people over from the bridge, and the iron wall does not. If it is too hard, it can be easily exploded by explosives. Luo, you asked me if I think our superiors abandoned us because of this, right? That's right, and not only the superiors, but also the helicopters and brother units have not been contacted, right? Luo Guang nodded and said. Yes, so now we are just like you civilians, we are all survivors of this disaster, Sergeant Tan said helplessly. Tanya seemed a little impatient with Luo Guang's step-by-step chatting method, and interrupted. Tan, we want to blow up the iron wall directly. What did you say? Sergeant Tan stood up in shock at Tanya's words. Give me the iron wall. When Tanya was about to repeat it again, Sergeant Tan interrupted. I heard what you just said. What I want to know is why you think so. Aren't you afraid that this disaster will spread to Danforth City? If Fourth City is infected, the whole world will be in danger. When Luo Guang heard what Sergeant Tan said, he thought that Sergeant Tan really didn't know what was happening in Danforth City, so he was directly pulled over from the army barracks to work. But Sergeant Tan is right about one thing. After Danforth City is infected, the city's cargo throughput is likely to lead to the destruction of the whole world. This must be commended to the military for its quick response, which was probably done long ago. Emergency plan. Sergeant Tan Luoguang took over the persuasion work and said, "Do you think the Iron Wall is really to prevent zombies from spreading this disaster to Danforth City?" "What do you mean?" Sergeant Tan frowned. "Since we want to prevent the spread to Danforth City, why not directly block the tunnel road from Trumbull Valley to Danforth City? Is it necessary to put in so much effort to build 2 iron walls?" Luoguang continued to bombard Sergeant Tan with questions. Said, "And Sergeant Tan, don't you think it's strange? Why is the task given to you by your superiors to protect a group of people wearing biochemical suits? What do they know before they put on biochemical suits? Why didn't you remind Sergeant Tan that you also are you prepared?" Although Luoguang bombarded him with questions, Sergeant Tan did not get confused because of this. Instead, he was seriously thinking about the questions Luoguang said. Finally came to a conclusion. "You mean, the military built those 2 iron walls and set up an operational base in the North District for other purposes? For example, to study the cause of this disaster?" Luoguang smiled and said, "How do I know what they think? I just asked Tanya in the car, and she discovered a strange thing, that is, the population in the East District is not large, and they have been in the church one after another this month. We have also eliminated many zombies, but as of last night, there are still too many zombies in the East District." Tanya nodded and said, "Tan, didn't you feel this way when you were performing tasks in the East District? This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading." "Well, when you say that, I remember that there was indeed one time when we were escorting the biochemical suit personnel to collect information at night and encountered a large number of zombie attacks. That time was the first time that the team I led suffered losses." Sergeant Tan also discovered the disharmony, there are too many zombies, and as Tanya said, it has been more than a month since the disaster broke out. The survivors in the East District and the troops led by me have eliminated many zombies, but the East District the number of zombies is still quite high. The distance between the several districts is not close, which can basically rule out the natural migration of zombies, Luoguang hinted to Sergeant Tan. "You mean the military sent people to do good things? Why? Is there any evidence?" Sergeant Tan frowned, suspecting that Luoguang was engaging in conspiracy theories. "I didn't say that, but apart from the military, which other force in the valley has such strength?" Luoguang raised the corner of his mouth slightly and said, "As for the evidence, this is why we have to blow up the iron wall. As mentioned before, yes, blowing up the iron wall will not affect the spread of the disaster to Danforth City, and the small number of people in the North District should also be evacuated." "Okay, I finally understand what you mean. As for the people in the North District, I have never seen them. Basically, I worked non-stop. I received the escort mission as soon as I got off the plane and set off immediately." Sergeant Tan was a little moved by Luoguang, but he still had one last point to confirm. "What is your real purpose?" Sergeant Tan didn't believe that civilians did so many things and spent so much money on themselves just to let themselves know the truth. "I want to live." Luoguang gave Sergeant Tan a realistic answer, looking directly into Sergeant Tan's eyes without any dodge. "Where is Tanya?" Sergeant Tan asked Tanya after confirming the will of civilian Luoguang. "You know me?" Tanya also looked directly into Sergeant Tan's eyes and said, "Back then, I foolishly thought that I lost the competition for the position of company commander because of my lack of ability, but it turned out that it was because I couldn't open my arms. Legs to please the person above. 10. I don't want to live in such confusion anymore. I want to live, but I also want to know the truth of the matter." Sergeant Tan is confirming Luoguang and Tanya's determination, and at the same time confirming his own determination. "I understand, I'm joining your plan," Sergeant Tan said seriously. "Meow, I feel like I need to make some adjustments recently, the situation is not right." Evolution begins with Resident Evil. Author, Wei Tong Miao. Chapter 51. Chapter 51 Wall Bombing Plan. After the three of them reached an agreement, Luo Guang and Tanya did not leave immediately, but Sergeant Tan temporarily left the office because he wanted to ask other people's opinions. "How many people do you think Sergeant Tan can convince?" Tanya felt it would be a bit awkward for the two of them to stay here without talking, so she asked Luo Guang. "I should ask you this question," although chatting in someone else's office made Luo Guang, a former social worker, feel a little weird. He didn't mind chatting for a while and replied with a smile, "Based on your understanding of Sergeant Tan, how many people will follow him?" "If it were a war, I think everyone would follow, but this time we have to face monsters who are not afraid of bullets and fearless, and we are still thinking about digging out the truth behind this disaster," Tanya would say. It's because she encountered a situation in her service experience. Some people join the army just to find a job. They don't think about such nonsense as justice and truth. "Isn't this disaster a war?" Luo Guang leaned on the back of his chair, tilted his head and looked at Tanya and said. "Luo, you're right, this is indeed a war, I'm just a little nervous." Tanya, who seemed fearless, touched her hair and actually said she was nervous. In order to relax, Tanya also leaned back on the chair. Why?" Luo Guang was surprised by Tanya's reaction. "Seeing Sergeant Tan, an old acquaintance from the army, and thinking that I want to find out the truth behind the matter, it reminded me of my previous service in the army." Tanya was not as brave as she is now. She was even a little naive, thinking that as long as she worked hard, he could reverse the prejudice against female soldiers in the army, so he did not join a dedicated female soldier unit, but stayed with those rough guys. As a result, he was not elected as company commander because he did not open his legs when his boss suggested it. He tried to report but was hit by obstacles. In the end, during the resistance, he gave his boss a hard blow on the crotch that wanted to force him. Because this was already considered a military scandal, in the end the matter was suppressed before it had time to ferment, and Tanya was not punished. However, Tanya no longer wanted to stay in the army and quickly submitted her discharge application. The situation at this time was similar to before. The man behind the truth of what he was facing might be the behemoth of the military, so that sense of powerlessness made Tanya feel nervous. "Sometimes I wonder, what can I do if I know the truth? I can't change anything." Tanya just wanted to find someone to talk to about her troubles, and didn't really expect to get an answer. It's better to know the truth than to be kept in the dark. "And you can't change things, but people can still change." Luo Guang is not the other party's psychiatrist or life coach, so he said it a bit carelessly and continued, "No, once upon a time, there is a man who loves to fight for justice with 2 guns. What he likes to say to his most vicious enemies is, 'How can a person like you change? You won't change, only death,' and then he always shoots him coolly. Eliminate the enemy, leaving only a handsome figure behind." Luo Guang also acted when he said the lines. Although he couldn't express the coolness and righteousness of the 2-gun god of war, he grasped the anger of the enemy very well. Is this a character from some heroic comic book? He was obviously talking about something very serious, but Luo Guang made Tanya laugh, making Tanya couldn't help but complain. "It's not important, Tanya. What's important is that the world needs heroes. This has nothing to do with superpowers or money abilities, but the choice you make when you know the truth." Luo Guang just mentioned his relationship with Tanya on a whim. The story of the god of guns. Luo Guang himself was just talking big words and talking about some empty truths, but Tanya, who was listening, planted a tiny seed in her heart, waiting for the day it would sprout. Not long after the two chatted, Sergeant Tan came back. After taking a look at the desktop and confirming that Luo Guang and the others did not look through the files on his desktop, Sergeant Tan said. They all agreed. Do you have a specific plan? Luo Guang said, as for the plan, it must be confirmed by the manpower before it can be formulated. The problem now is the lack of explosives and blasters. We have explosives and we also have blasters. Sergeant Tan happened to have a professional blaster in his team, and he nodded and replied. That's good, but someone on our side is seriously injured, Tanya said, so we won't be able to provide too many people here, and the plan will have to be delayed for a few days before it can start. It's okay. We can use this time to carry out preliminary reconnaissance and material preparation. Sergeant Tan felt that he could complete the task with his own people, but the suggestion to blow up the iron wall was put forward by Tanya and 2 people. More people can share more responsibilities and risks for themselves, so Sergeant Tan feels that civilians should be included. Of course, another point is that more soldiers can make operations safer. Sergeant Tan deeply understands that one more gun brings more hope in the battle. The 3 chatted in some more details, and after confirming the radio contact method, Luo Guang and Tanya drove out of the Snyder freight warehouse. Sergeant, do we really want to blow up that iron wall? After watching Luo Guang and the 2 leave, a soldier knocked on the door and entered. He was Sergeant Tan's adjutant and asked. That's right, Jamie, Sergeant Tan replied as he flipped through a report. For the truth, Deputy Jamie asked. To keep you alive. Sergeant Tan's purpose was actually very simple, which was also the real reason why Sergeant Tan approved Luo Guang and the others to blow up the iron wall. Adjutant Jamie was not against Sergeant Tan's actions, but just wanted to ask clearly, so that he could move forward more firmly. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Jamie, we have been here for so long, have we received any other support except the supplies before departure? Sergeant Tan said, why do we have to stay here after those people in biochemical suits left? And Jamie, you mentioned in your report to me before that we don't have much supplies anymore. Sergeant Tan threw the document in his hand on the table. We have seen the situation in the North District. Before getting on the helicopter, I saw a large amount of supplies piled up near the temporary command center. Those supplies can keep us going for a long time, and even completely clear all the zombies in this valley. Got it? I understand. Adjutant Jamie's doubts were answered by his superior, which made Jamie more convinced of Sergeant Tan. After asking what he wanted to know, Adjutant Jamie withdrew to continue working, leaving Sergeant Tan alone. Sergeant Tan lit a cigarette, looked at the map of Trumbull in the office, and fell into deep thought. Sergeant Tan's troops had actually completed their mission in the East District. At that time, Sergeant Tan considered that his troops were already very familiar with the East District and had cleared a large number of zombies, so he initially planned to directly establish a base in the East District to perform standby tasks. However, on the night when the biochemical suits left, Sergeant Tan's troops were suddenly attacked by a large group of blood plague zombies, and these were not just ordinary blood plague zombies, but also various blood plague virus monsters mixed in. Finally, after more than half of Sergeant Tan's troops were killed, they broke out and led the remaining troops to escape from the East District. Not long after Sergeant Tan escaped from the East District, Luo Guang came to Trumbull Valley, and the church was also attacked by a group of blood plague zombies. Luo Guang and Tanya returned to the treehouse base and came to the living room. Except for Ed, everyone else gathered in the living room, waiting for Luo Guang and the others to come back. Ed's fever has subsided, and he's doing well. When Luo Guang and the others just came back, Dr. Hans also came out of Ed's room. Because Ed's fever had subsided, Dr. Hans didn't have to keep an eye on Ed. Thank you, Dr. Marcus said, and Maya was sitting next to Marcus at this time, holding Marcus' hand tightly. You're welcome. Is the food you found on the table? Dr. Hans was considerate and praised, with so much food, it seems that there is no problem with one more mouth for me. The luggage bag on the low table in front of the sofa was full of canned food, which was much more than what Maya had taken away without permission before. Where did you find it from? Luo Guang picked up a can of herring and looked at the production date and asked. I found it in the house where Maya left the luggage bag. There are also many canned food in the kitchen of that house, Marcus explained. Maya didn't speak at this time, and was still secretly observing the expressions and attitudes of everyone. Because the treehouse base was besieged before, Tanya and Luo Guang did not express any opinions on what Maya did. Now that the situation is stable, Maya is worried that others will start to make trouble and drive her away. When the two went to retrieve food, Marcus said that Ed's condition has improved, so he will definitely choose to leave together for Maya. But Maya didn't want to do this, and Maya heard that Lily exchanged intelligence with others through the radio, which made Maya even more worried that her reputation would be ruined and she would have a hard time after being driven away. Tanya, Luo, we gathered together to wait for you to come back, and we want to make a decision together. Lily regarded everyone present as part of the team, so she wanted to vote to make a decision. The first thing is, do we want to forgive Maya for what she did? Note, Maya has already made compensation. Lily said the first thing that needed to be voted on. Please raise your hands if you have forgiven Maya. Luo Guang was not sure what others thought, so he did not express his opinion at the first time. After Lily said please raise your hands, she was the first to raise her hand, followed by Marcus. Maya was the one being voted, so she didn't express her opinion or raise her hand. She just looked at the people who were still thinking nervously. Dr. Hans thought for a while and raised his hand. He could understand the young man's impulsiveness, especially after knowing that Maya had just returned from camping in the mountains. Dr. Hans knew that Maya didn't have a clear understanding of the disaster in the town of Trumbull, so he thought it was forgivable. 3-2, then the minority obeys the majority. The first thing is. Before Lily finished speaking, Tanya interrupted, Lily, Marcus is Maya's boyfriend. Under normal circumstances, he should avoid it, so it's still 2-2. Tanya. Lily wanted to persuade Tanya, and Maya on the other side was also worried. But Tanya didn't give Lily a chance, raised her hand, and said, now is the minority obeying the majority? You should raise your hand and say it, you make me look unsociable. Luo Guang raised his hand helplessly. Ha ha ha, Tanya laughed, devilish and domineering. Then the first thing has been successfully completed. Lily happily hugged Tanya and continued, the second thing will be left to Marcus. That's right. Marcus put away his happy expression because of the first thing and said, when we went to collect the luggage bags, didn't we have to go back to the house? There we found a container. Container? Was it converted into a room or what? Dr. Hans was puzzled. The container looked new and was thrown in the backyard. Although I don't understand design, the container is not beautiful, and it also blocked the road from the house to the back door and cut off the stone road on the ground. Marcus explained why he mentioned this matter and continued, at the same time, there was nothing else in the container except zombies, and those zombies were wearing patient clothes. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Tanya thought of what she and Luo Guang said to Sergeant Tan. If it was just speculation before, now there is new evidence to prove that someone moved the zombies around artificially. Dr. Hans said, does the zombie in the hospital gown have any indication on the clothes of which hospital it is from? There are two hospitals in Trumbull. The one in the south is the clinic opened by Dr. Hans, and the one in the north is a newly built general hospital. Although Dr. Hans' clinic is not as good as the general hospital in the north, it is still relatively complete in function. People in the town are used to going directly to Dr. Hans when they are sick. As for serious diseases, they usually go directly to the hospital in Danforth for treatment. It was only later that many people died in an accident due to untimely treatment, so the new general hospital was built. When the disaster happened, there was no need for hospitalization in Dr. Hans' clinic, so he asked this question. I didn't notice it, Marcus said, looking at Maya. Maya shook her head, indicating that she didn't notice it either. Really? But those people shouldn't be my patients, so where did they come from? And who moved them here? Tanya and Luo Guang looked at each other, and after Luo Guang nodded, Tanya told everyone present some of the things he and Luo Guang discussed. You actually want to make a big thing secretly. Lily took a long time to digest what Tanya said. The other people were the same, looking at Tanya in surprise. Otherwise, do we really plan to stay here for the rest of our lives? It's not the end of the world. Tanya was surprised by other people's thoughts and said, anyway, this won't spread the disaster to Danforth City. It's not this problem, it's just that you told us to destroy the Iron Wall for a while, which surprised us. After knowing about the Iron Wall, Dr. Hans and others really never thought of blowing up the Iron Wall, so they were so surprised. Although everyone was surprised, because Tanya and Luo Guang explained it very clearly, and they answered some related questions one by one, no one jumped out to object. With Tanya as a guarantor, everyone was not too opposed to cooperating with the military. After discussing the details, it was getting late, so they started to keep watch in shifts. Luo Guang's watch was in the second half, so after eating something to fill his stomach, he took the time to sleep and spent this busy day. I recently read the comments and wanted to ask everyone a question. Is my system a chatterbox? I just found out that the monthly tickets will be doubled starting today, so I'll ask for the monthly tickets by the way. Asterisk.